Chapter 4572. Outside the Imperial Palace. As the gate of the Imperial Palace opened and Lu Jijin walked out, the inner demons immediately greeted him and asked in a low voice, "What did he say to you?" "Nothing." Lu Jijin waved his hand and looked at Dong Tianqian and the other two who were also curious. He smiled and said, "There's only one ancient book. Can you let us read it first? After we finish reading it, I'll ask my brother to send it to you." "It's okay. It doesn't matter who reads it first. There's no need to trouble you to send it personally. Just let us know and we'll come and get it ourselves." Dong Tianqian handed the ancient book to Lu Jijin. "Thank you." Lu Jijin smiled and turned to look at the inner demons and said, "Let's go." The two strode away. "Strange. Why did sixth uncle leave him alone?" Dong Ping muttered. "The three of you come in." The emperor's voice sounded. The three of them were slightly stunned and entered the hall suspiciously. Above the mountain range, the inner demon saw that there was no one around and asked in a low voice, "What did the emperor say to you?" "It's nothing. He just asked me to take care of everyone in the secret realm." Lu Jijin smiled faintly. "So that's how it is. It seems that he really looks at you in a new light. Otherwise, why would he leave you alone?" The inner demons bared his teeth. Lu Jijin shook his head and laughed. He turned to look at the Imperial Palace and said with a smile, "But this time I really have to thank Dong Exan. If it weren't for her, we really wouldn't have found the opportunity to bring my little cousin and the others into the secret realm." Yes, the inner demons nodded. Dong Exan had undoubtedly helped them a lot. However, immediately after, the inner demons frowned and said, "But the quota is not enough. The two of us together only have 6 quotas. If you don't want to take the risk, then only 6 people can go in." Lu Jijin said. 6 people, I will definitely go. White-eyed wolf, lunatic, needless to say. They are all people who like to join in the fun. Longchan must go too. Firstly, Longchan had been helping Qin Feiyang all these years. If it wasn't for Longchan's help, how could Qin Feiyang and the others grow so quickly? Therefore, with such a good thing happening, he definitely couldn't forget him. Secondly, he had the domain of divinity. God's domain would definitely play an important role in the secret realm. The inner demons frowned. They only took 4 spots. Who should we give the remaining 2 spots to? Li Feng was also very strong. With the puppet true body, he could fight 4 people at once. The demon ancestor and Mu Tianyang, needless to say, were much stronger than Li Feng in terms of overall combat strength. Mu Qing was also very important. This was because his omniscient eye might be able to play a crucial role at that time. There was also Dong Zhongyang and the mermaid princess. As for Lin Yi, she had not mastered Heaven's Will yet, so she could be excluded. Don't forget, there is still Heavenly Lord Ji. He has always been in the Black Tortoise realm. Lu Jijin leveled up. Yeah. I almost ignored him. The inner demon slapped his head. In short, they needed too many spots. 6 spots were not enough at all. Lu Jijin was silent for a while and secretly said, "Don't worry. Let's go back first, send a message to little cousin, and discuss with him." Okay. The inner demons nodded. 6th uncle. You trust Lu Yunfeng too much. You actually want us to listen to him. Inside the Imperial Palace, Dong Tianqian looked at the emperor with dissatisfaction. Dong Ping and Dong Exan were also a little indignant. There were no outsiders present, so the 3 were no longer so reserved. "Do you still have any objections? I am doing this for your own good. Do you understand? I don't want you to die in the secret realm." The emperor rolled his eyes. "I know you are doing this for our own good. But you are boosting the morale of others too much and destroying our own prestige. It seems that only Lu Yunfeng is a smart person, and we are all incompetent fools." Dong Ping said. The emperor said, "Then think about it. In terms of ability and brain, are you inferior to Lu Yunfeng?" Dong Ping wanted to refute, but in the end he couldn't find a reason to. "I want you to listen to their arrangements, but not unconditionally. You must listen to them if they are right, but you can also refuse if they are wrong." The emperor smiled faintly. "Sister Moon Immortal, we also have to listen to him?" Dong Exan asked. "Yes." The emperor nodded and smiled. "It means that he is the one leading the team. All right. The three looked at each other and nodded helplessly. Don't look like you're unwilling. Maybe when the time comes to break the blood oath in your body, we will need the help of these two brothers. The emperor rolled his eyes. Hearing the emperor's words, the three felt a lot better in their hearts. If the two could really help them break the blood oath, not to mention listening to them, they would even be willing to give them a massage on the back and shoulders. Black Tortoise World. 6 spots? Qin Feiyong looked at the inner demons and Lu Jijin in a daze. Yes, these 6 spots are not easy to come by. Lu Jijin smiled bitterly and briefly explained the situation to Qin Feiyong. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyong smiled. Dong Xian had done them a great favor by accident. But the question now is, which one of you will go to the secret realm? If all of you want to go, then we can only follow the original plan and force our way in. The inner demons were a little worried. Forcing their way in was not a wise choice, because the imperial capital mountain was not a place where one could come and go as one pleased. At that time there might be many variables. Who will go to the secret realm? Qin Feiyong murmured and smiled bitterly. I guess everyone wants to go, but it was obviously not realistic for everyone to go. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong had an idea and his eyes flashed. You have an idea? The inner demons looked at Qin Feiyong's eyes and asked. There is indeed an idea. Qin Feiyong nodded and smiled. Dong Tianqian, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian together, don't we have 9 spots? Why don't we take their 9 spots? That's right. The inner demons patted their heads. They had not thought of this. Dong Tianqian and the other 2 had 9 spots, plus their 6 spots, which was completely enough. But then, the inner demons frowned again and asked, will they be willing to take their spots? Qin Feiyong laughed and said, don't forget, they are now bound by a blood oath. They dare not say no to my orders. TSK. Then this problem is perfectly solved, isn't it? The inner demons bared their teeth. Qin Feiyong said, but we still have to think of a way to get them to come out and see me. If the 3 of them stayed in the clan ground, then he really could not do anything. Because, now the cities where the main families were located had been sealed by the origin power, and there was no way to sneak in. This is indeed a little difficult. Since you entered the central dynasty, they have not left the clan ground. I am afraid of meeting you. However, my previous actions created a good opportunity for you. Lu Jijin smiled. What opportunity? Qin Feiyong was curious. Dong Tianqian and the other 2 will come to Imperial Capital Mountain to find us for that ancient book. At that time you can go to Tianyun City or Sky City to wait for them. Lu Jijin chuckled. Tianyun City, Sky City? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Tianyun City is the clan ground of Dong Tianqian and his brother. Sky City is the clan ground of Dong Xian family. Lu Jijin laughed. All right. You guys can finish reading that ancient book. When the time comes, let me know. Qin Feiyong said. All right. Lu Jijin nodded and smiled. This ancient book. Don't you want to read it together? No need. You guys can read it. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. All right. Lu Jijin smiled and told Qin Feiyong the coordinates of Tianyun City and Sky City, then turned off the sound transmission stone. 3 days, inside the training room. Qin Feiyong also put away the sound transmission stone and muttered to himself. The universe secret realm was really something to look forward to. The next day. Morning. The sun had just risen. Qin Feiyong received Lu Jijin's message, asking him to immediately go to Tianyun City or Sky City. Immediately. Qin Feiyong didn't dare to stay for a moment, and immediately left the Black Tortoise world. Qin Dage. Just as he left the pavilion, Ji Xiaowu happened to walk towards him. I'm not free now. If there's anything, we'll talk later. Qin Feiyong left these words and hurriedly left, leaving Ji Xiaowu dumbfounded. Tianyun City. The name of this city wasn't given casually. This was because the 3-word Sky Fortune City had a special meaning. By the will of the heavens. Why did it have such a meaning? Because Tianyun City was the head of the top 10 direct descendant families. On one hand, it was because they were very strong with Dong Tianqian and Dong Ping, these 2 monsters. Dong Hanzong relied on his powerful strength and heaven-defying domain to climb from a branch family member to his current position. Even the direct descendant families felt threatened by him. Dong Tianxian and Dong Ping, this pair of brothers, naturally had such power. A god-killing domain and undying domain, it was enough to allow the family behind them to stand at the peak of the central dynasty. As the number one family, the number one city, its scale was naturally needless to say. Compared to Tianxian City and Tianyang City, it was several times larger. In front of the city gate, there was an endless stream of people coming and going every day. At this time, an old man with white hair, wearing tattered linen clothes, stood at the back of the crowd. Entering Tianyang City, one also had to undergo inspection. Furthermore, it was even stricter than other cities. After all, as the number one city, the risk they had to bear was naturally greater. The white-haired old man didn't enter the city. Instead, he kept looking at the city gate. Because his appearance was ordinary, his temperament was also very ordinary, plus he was a lonely old man, so even if someone passed by him, he wouldn't give them a second glance. About half an hour passed. Finally, a familiar figure walked out from the city gate. This person was Dong Ping. With his hands behind his back, he walked with a majestic gait. Although the source power sealed off the city could protect Tianyang City, it also brought about great changes to the people in the city. Because inside the city there was no way to directly open a space-time tunnel. He had to leave the city. This was also the reason why Lu Jijin had Qin Feiyang come and wait for him. In other words, whether it was entering Tianyang City or leaving Tianyang City, the city gate was the only way. The city gate naturally became the best squatting point. Chapter 45-73. Dong Ping walked out of the city gate, looked around, and then directly opened a space-time passage in front of the city gate. Obviously, he was very careful. He didn't even dare to leave the city gate. But at this moment, the white-haired old man at the back of the crowd suddenly stepped forward, crossed the crowd in an instant, and appeared in front of Dong Ping. The sudden turn of events gave Dong Ping a fright. He instinctively took a few steps back. The guards on both sides were also shocked. When they came to their senses, they immediately surrounded the white-haired old man, their eyes full of vigilance. "Don't be nervous." The white-haired old man smiled hoarsely, looked at Dong Ping and asked, "Young Master Dong Ping, don't you recognize me?" Dong Ping looked at the white-haired old man suspiciously. He had no impression of him. "I have been waiting for you here. Young Master Dong Ping, please come with me." The white-haired old man transmitted his voice. "Who are you?" Dong Ping began to gradually retreat into the city. "Who am I? Do you still need to ask? Let me ask you, who else would come looking for you now?" The white-haired old man smiled secretly. This voice, Dong Ping's eyes trembled. Because at this moment, the white-haired old man's voice suddenly changed. He was too familiar with this voice. It was the nightmare that made him restless, Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Do you recognize me now?" This time there was no message. This was for others to see so that they would not be suspicious. "Yes." Dong Ping braced himself and nodded. "Then young Master Dong Ping, please come with me." Qin Feiyang laughed hoarsely. Dong Ping did not dare to disobey Qin Feiyang because of the blood oath. If he disobeyed Qin Feiyang, he would immediately be punished. However, he was not going to follow Qin Feiyang now, because Qin Feiyang came to him for no good reason. "Let's go." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Dong Ping sighed helplessly, walked to Qin Feiyang, and transmitted his voice, "What do you want to do?" "Nothing. I just want you to come with me." Qin Feiyang said. "Where to?" Dong Ping was very nervous. His forehead was even covered in cold sweat. "Anywhere is fine. Because there's nothing else. I just want to talk to you in private." Qin Feiyang snickered. "Nothing else?" Dong Ping didn't believe it. Who doesn't know Qin Feiyang's character? He doesn't come to the Three Treasures Palace for no reason. Anyway, nothing good was going to happen. "Young master, do you really recognize him?" The guards looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously, but they did not have the slightest impression of him. "Yes." Dong Ping nodded indifferently. Then, he opened another space-time tunnel and said indifferently, "Let's go." With that, he stepped into the passage. Qin Feiyang smiled at the group of guards, and the group of guards also quickly smiled apologetically. Since he knew young Master Dong Ping, This seemingly ordinary old man must have extraordinary strength and status. Above a mountain range. Whoosh! With the appearance of a space-time tunnel, two figures walked out. It was Qin Feiyong and Dong Ping. As soon as Dong Ping came out and saw that there was no one around, he immediately looked at Qin Feiyong and begged, "Brother, I beg you, can you let us go?" "What are you talking about? I didn't want to harm you." Qin Feiyong was speechless. "You didn't now, but what about in the future? We're really unlucky. Why did we meet a jinx like you?" Dong Ping sighed helplessly. Why was he so stupid in the beginning? Wasn't it comfortable to enjoy a good life in the Central Dynasty? Why did he have to go to the 4 great continents? In the end, not only did he not make a great contribution, but he also had to live in fear every day. He had enough of this kind of life. It's a little sad when you say that. It's fate that we met. The fact that we met means that there must be fate between us. Qin Feiyong laughed. To hell with fate. Dong Ping's face was full of bad luck. That's enough. Hurry up and ask your brother and Dong Xine to come out, Qin Feiyong said with a smile. Huh. Dong Ping looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. He even asked him to ask his brother and Dong Xine to come out. What exactly did he want? It's just to catch up. After all, I haven't seen you for so many years. I really miss you. Qin Feiyong laughed. Hearing this, Dong Ping didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There was actually a kind of feeling that made people feel flattered. Alas, in the end he still couldn't escape from this person's evil clutches. Then, he took out the divine voice transmitting stone and sent messages to Dong Tianqian and Dong Xine one after another. He didn't tell them that Qin Feiyong was present, but only told them to come over. About a few hundred breaths later, buzz, a space-time passage appeared in the sky. Dong Xine was the first to arrive. Looking at Dong Ping below and Qin Feiyong standing opposite, a trace of suspicion flashed in her eyes. Then she landed beside Dong Ping and asked, "Why did you ask me to come here? And who is this person?" "Let's talk about it when my brother arrives." Dong Ping sighed. Looking at Dong Ping's worried eyes, Dong Xine couldn't help but have an uneasy premonition in her heart. Another few dozen breaths passed. Dong Tianqian finally arrived. "Why did you call me here in such a hurry?" Just like Dong Xine. First, they looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and then asked Dong Ping. Dong Ping smiled bitterly. "Long time no see, I miss you." Qin Feiyong looked at Dong Tianqian and Dong Xine and said with a smile, "Huh." The two of them were surprised. They seemed to be asking, "Do we know each other? Let's talk somewhere else." Qin Feiyong smiled and waved his hand. The 4 of them immediately disappeared without a trace. Black Tortoise World Tea Garden. At this moment, it was empty. "This is..." Dong Tianqian and Dong Xine glanced around, their eyes full of surprise. "You're right, this is the Black Tortoise World." Dong Ping smiled bitterly. They were imprisoned in the Black Tortoise World in the early years, so they more or less knew about it. When the two of them heard this, their expressions changed. This was the Black Tortoise World. Didn't that mean that the white-haired old man standing in front of them was... Swoosh! The two of them suddenly quivered and turned to look at Qin Feiyong, only to see that Qin Feiyong had already taken out a facial restoration pill and threw it into his mouth. Very quickly, a face that they never wanted to see appeared in front of them. "We haven't seen each other for a long time." Qin Feiyong sat at the stone table and made tea while looking at Dong Tianqian and Dong Xine with a smile. Dong Tianqian and Dong Xine looked at each other and smiled bitterly. What they were afraid of really happened. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Don't just stand there, sit down." The 3 of them walked to Qin Feiyong with a bitter face and sat down opposite him. Qin Feiyong said gloomily, "Why do you all have such a bitter face? You don't want to see me that much?" The 3 of them looked at each other. Wasn't this asking the obvious? Only a ghost would want to see you. "You guys are too heartless, I've been thinking about you guys every day." Qin Feiyong was very disappointed. "Please don't think about us." Dong Tianqian couldn't help but exclaim. He really wanted to cry. He had been hiding from this person, but in the end he still couldn't hide from him. "Drink tea." Qin Feiyong brewed tea, poured 3 cups and personally handed it to the 3 of them. "Don't be like this. The more polite you are, the more anxious we will be. What's the matter, just say it." How could the 3 of them still have the mood to drink tea? They hurriedly brushed it off and slipped away. I didn't expect you guys to be more anxious than me. Qin Feiyang shook his head and leisurely drank his tea and smiled. All right, then I'll say it directly. I hope you guys can help us enter the universe secret region. What? When the three of them heard this, the teacups in their hands immediately fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. Universe secret region. How did this person know about the universe secret region? Furthermore, he came to find them just as they were about to enter the universe secret region. There couldn't be such a coincidence in this world. Could it be that someone had tipped off Qin Feiyang? However, in the entire Divine Kingdom, only the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, the Emperor couple, the Moon Fairy Princess, the Lu Yunfeng brothers, and the three of them knew about the universe secret region. The ruler of the Divine Kingdom, the Emperor couple, and the Moon Fairy Princess, it was definitely impossible. The three of them also didn't leak any information. Could it be the Lu Yunfeng brothers? The three of them were instantly stunned. How could it be them? Why would they do this? Very surprising, right? I actually know about the universe secret region. Qin Feiyang laughed. What benefits did you give Lu Yunfeng and the rest? You actually let them become your informants and betray our divine kingdom. Dong Tianchen frowned. Lu Yunfeng? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Dong Tianchen suspiciously said, could it be that the news about the universe secret region wasn't leaked to you by Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian? So you were talking about this. Then you're really thinking too much. To be honest, I really hope that the two brothers can become my men. Unfortunately, they are both arrogant people and look down on a small character like me. Qin Feiyang shook his head regretfully. It wasn't them who leaked the information? Dong Tianchen and the other two looked at each other and asked suspiciously. Then how did you know? Isn't it simple? Mu Qing's omniscient. I can spy on your whereabouts anytime and anywhere, and can even hear your conversation. Qin Feiyang laughed. So it's the omniscient eye. The three of them suddenly understood. Dong Ping frowned and said, so, you've been letting Mu Qing use the omniscient eye to spy on us? Spy on you? There's no need for that. You don't have that value. The target of our surveillance is of course the emperor couple. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Hearing this, Dong Tianchen and the other two were greatly shocked. They were the five unparalleled geniuses and the descendants of the lineal family, but in Qin Feiyang's eyes, they were not even worth spying on. Qin Feiyang's words easily cleared the suspicion of Lu Zhejin and the inner demons. The three of you have a total of 9 places. I'll take all 9 of them. You don't have a problem with that, right? Qin Feiyang said with a smile. All of them? The three of them were stunned. Not even leaving one place for them? This was too much. This was simply bullying. But they did not dare to refuse. What else can we say if you want it? But we can't give it to you for free. Dong Tianchen lowered his head and said bitterly. Of course. I'm a very reasonable person. Even if there's a blood oath binding you, I won't force you. You can name your conditions. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. He was very generous and open-minded. Chapter 45-74. Reasonable. When Dong Tianchen and the other two heard this, they were even in the mood to curse. You, Qin Feiyang, are reasonable? Don't joke around. If you were really reasonable, would you be able to take all the quotas at once? However, thinking about it carefully, if Qin Feiyang really wanted to enter the secret realm, they would not dare to bring their clansmen with them, because bringing their clansmen would be sending them to their deaths. It was obvious that Qin Feiyang would not let their clansmen go in the secret realm. Dong Tianchen said, our request is not high. We just want 2 promises. 2 promises? Let me think. The 2 promises you want, one should be for me to lift the blood oath for you, and the other should be for me to let go of your younger brother and sister, right? Qin Feiyang laughed. Yes. The 3 nodded. They were in disbelief. He could actually see through their inner thoughts at a glance. Letting go of your younger brother and sister is a small matter. In any case, their value to me is not that great. But the 3 of you. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 of them thoughtfully. The 3 of them were extremely nervous. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, to be honest, I really can't bear to let you go. Of course. Because you don't lack strong people around you. Our strength is nothing at all. Dong Ping hurriedly said. When did you become so humble? I'm not used to it. Qin Feiyang laughed. It's the truth. You see, our strongest means is the domain. However, many of you are able to break through our domain. Dongping smiled. Not so many. Your domain is still very strong. How about this? Let's keep the blood oath first, but I can promise you that I will bring you back alive from the secret realm. Qin Feiyang smiled. No need, no need. Life and death are up to fate. It doesn't matter. It's better to lift the blood oath. The three of them quickly waved their hands. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. The three of them nodded without hesitation. That works too. However, you must be mentally prepared. Because if you don't have a blood oath, once we enter the secret realm, I will chase after you and beat you up. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Ugh! Before the three of them could rejoice, it was as if they had been hit in the head with a stick when they heard the word okay. Their expressions immediately turned as dumb as wooden chickens. That's right. Without the blood oath, Qin Feiyang would definitely not let them off. And with Qin Feiyang's cautious attitude, he definitely wouldn't remove their blood oath before entering the secret realm. Big brother, what should we do? Dongping transmitted his voice. Facing the relentless pursuit of Qin Feiyang and the others, he was not confident that he could survive. At that time, even if he didn't die in the space-time tunnel or in the danger of the secret realm, he would have died in the hands of Qin Feiyang and the others. What should we do? What else can we do? Dong Tianchen smiled bitterly. No matter how hard they tried, they still couldn't escape from this person's grasp. Why was life so bitter? Have you thought it through? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Sigh. We can't win against you. We'll do whatever you say. Dong Tianchen sighed helplessly. That's right. What can be more important than life? Qin Feiyang laughed. Little guy, you're too inexperienced to play tricks with me. Dong Xen asked. When will you let our brother and sister go? Anytime. Qin Feiyang smiled. Then let's do it now. Dong Xen urged. They would save as many as they could. It's not a problem to let them go now, but how are you going to explain it when you go back? You have to know. Your brother and sister are in my hands. No one will believe that I will let them go easily. I'm afraid that at that time, you will all be suspected of colluding with me. Qin Feiyang said. This, Dong Tianchen and the other two's expressions stiffened. They hadn't thought about this problem before. Now that they heard Qin Feiyang say this, it was really a bit difficult to deal with. Actually, there's no rush. Your brother and sister are doing well in the Black Tortoise world. Although they're being suppressed, at least their lives are not in danger. Qin Feiyang smiled. Being suppressed? Don't tell me they're being suppressed in the Soul-Sealing Valley. The three looked at each other. No. After all, they're your brother and sister. How can we be so ruthless? Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. Who knows? Back in the 4 great continents, didn't you promise us that you wouldn't hurt our family? What did you do? Dongping snorted coldly. Yes, I did promise you, but didn't I have a condition? The condition is that your family members don't provoke me. But ever since we entered the Central Dynasty, the experts of your family's will of the heavens have been following the emperor to attack us. We can't just stand there and let them beat us up. To be honest, not killing Dong Tianpeng and Dong Sha is already giving you enough face. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Sigh. Do you think our family members don't want to hide in peace? But there's no other way. Who dares to disobey the emperor's orders? The three shook their heads. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Don't make it sound so nice. You can't wait for your family members to kill me so that you can regain your freedom. Hearing this, the three couldn't help but laugh. Nothing could escape this person's eyes. Dong Tianchen pondered for a while, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Now there's one more problem. Speak. Qin Feiyang drank his tea while looking at Dong Tianchen. 9 spots for you. There's no problem. I also know that when the time comes, you will change your appearance and pretend to be our family members to enter the secret realm. But pretending to be one of our family members is also very risky. Because if we want to bring people in, they must be experts of the will of the heavens. The condition to enter the secret realm is also to be an expert of the will of the heavens. But the emperor knows all the experts of the will of the heavens in our family. When Dong Tianxin said this, Qin Feiyong reached out and interrupted him with a smile. I know what you want to say. You know? Dong Tianxin was stunned. Yes. Pretending to be a living person. No one will pretend to be a dead person. Because pretending to be a dead person was confessing without being pressed and exposing oneself. How could a dead person appear in front of everyone alive? And pretending to be a living person, there were several big risks. For example, Qin Feiyong pretended to be a lunatic, but that lunatic was still alive. What if he appeared in person? Wouldn't they be exposed immediately? Therefore, in order to be flawless, they had to first control the people they were going to impersonate. How will you solve it? Dong Tianxin asked. Very easy. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and asked, who were you going to bring to the secret realm? I haven't decided yet. Dong Tianxin shook his head. That doesn't matter. Find 9 people and hand them to me. Imprison them in the Black Tortoise world. When the time comes, even if they want to report to the emperor, they won't have a chance. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Hand them to you? The 3 frowned. If they handed them to Qin Feiyong, would they still have a way out? You have to understand one thing. If these 9 people don't die, this matter will be exposed sooner or later. I don't care. After all, I'm an enemy of the Central Dynasty. But the 3 of you, when this matter is exposed and the emperor knows that you're colluding with me, I think I don't need to tell you the consequences. Qin Feiyong said faintly. The 3's eyes darkened. If this matter was exposed, even if they were the emperor's nephews and nieces, they would still be killed. So, if you want this matter to be flawless, if you want to keep this matter a secret forever, you can only hand these 9 people to me, or you can end their lives with your own hands. Qin Feiyong chuckled. You're the devil. The 3 glared at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. He said angrily, I gave you face but you don't want it? I could have forced you to do this but I didn't. I was trying to negotiate with you, and I gave you enough dignity and face, but you kept speaking rudely. Do you really think I'm easy to talk to? Seeing Qin Feiyong getting angry, the 3 of them couldn't help but panic. No, we're just joking. We didn't mean to be rude. Dong Ping hurriedly waved his hand. His face was full of fawning. Sigh. People under the eaves had to bow their heads. So it was just a joke. Don't be nervous, I was just joking. Since you don't have any objections, then let's make a happy decision. 2 days later, when we leave for the Emperor Capital Mountain, you can bring the 9 people here to find me. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Okay. The 3 nodded. Dong Tianxin hesitated and asked, but before we leave, can you let us see Dong Tianpeng and Dong Sha? Sure. But not face to face. Qin Feiyong smiled. I know that. Dong Tianxin nodded. Because if they met face to face, Dong Tianpeng and Dong Sha would realize that they were colluding with Qin Feiyong. After all, this was the Black Tortoise world. If they didn't have a special relationship, Dong Tianxin and the other 2 would never appear here. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and an image appeared in the void. The image showed the cultivation room where Dong Tianpeng and the other 9 were imprisoned. Although the 10 of them were imprisoned in the cultivation room, Qin Feiyong didn't hurt them. They just lost their freedom and sat cross-legged in the cultivation room, cultivating with their eyes closed. Seeing this, Dong Tianxin and the other 2 finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as their lives weren't in danger, it was fine. Keep your promise. Will you let them go after coming back from the secret realm? Dong Tianxin asked. Of course. Qin Feiyong nodded. In fact, these 10 people were not worth much. Because the emperor and his wife couldn't give him another 100,000 strands of origin power to exchange for them. After all, the emperor and his wife didn't want to rescue these 10 people. They had to do this because the 10 lineal families had been pestering them. So even if they returned Dong Tianpeng and Dong Sha to Dong Tianxin and the other 2, it didn't matter much. Chapter 45-75. Okay. Dong Tianxin took a deep breath and said, send us out. Don't you want to stay for a while? Qin Feiyong chuckled. The 3 looked at each other with a bitter smile on their faces. Staying in this place made them feel like they were sitting on pins and needles. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. I will confirm the list first because the number of men and women needs to be just right. After confirming the list, I will send you a message. For example, on his side, there was only one woman, Long Qin. When Dong Tianshan and the others brought 2 or 3 women, there would still be mistakes. After speaking, Qin Feiyang took out the divine sound transmission stone. Dong Tianshan understood and also took out the divine sound transmission stone. In fact, he didn't want to establish a contract bridge with Qin Feiyang at all. Because once the contract bridge was established, he couldn't hide even if he wanted to. After the contract bridge was established, Qin Feiyang also got up and sent the 3 out of the Black Tortoise realm. The list now. He had a total of 15 slots in his hand. Senior Brother Frenzy, White-Eyed Wolf, Long Chan, Long Qin, Li Feng, Demon Ancestor, Mu Tianyang, Dong Zhengyang, Mu Qing. Plus Qin Feiyang himself, there were only 10 people. Who should he give the remaining 5 slots to? Heaven Lord Ji? There were still some extra slots. In addition to the aforementioned Frenzy and others, the most helpful people in the secret realm were Heaven Lord Ji, Mermaid Princess, and Lin Yi. Heaven Lord Ji had 3,000 avatars. Mermaid Princess had the Eyes of Life. Lin Yi had the Eyes of Oblivion. But Lin Yi hadn't mastered the will of heaven yet, and couldn't enter the secret realm. Sea Lion Demon King wanted to go to the secret realm, but Qin Feiyang felt that it was a waste to let Sea Lion Demon King go. Of course, in addition to Heaven Lord Ji, Qin Feiyang would definitely not let Mermaid Princess and Lin Yi take risks. Therefore, even if Heavenly Lord Ji was included, there were still 4 spots left. Who would these 4 spots be given to? Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he thought of 3 people. These 3 people were the monarch, the divine king, and Ji Zun. But the 3 of them were currently at Imperial Capital Mountain and could not enter. What are you thinking about? Suddenly, unknowingly, the Mermaid Princess appeared behind Qin Feiyang and looked at him tenderly. Qin Feiyang turned his head and looked at the Mermaid Princess. His eyes were also filled with love. He smiled and said, "Why did you come out? So boring." "That's why I came out to relax." The mermaid smiled. Now, she had already grasped the will of the heavenly Tao, so she didn't need to cultivate as hard as before. "It's so stuffy," Qin Feiyang murmured. Suddenly, a trace of self-blame arose in his heart. He said apologetically, "It's all my fault. I've been busy every day. I don't know what I've been busy with. I don't even have time to accompany you. Aren't you busy destroying the Central Dynasty and saving the people of the 4 great continents?" The Mermaid Princess chuckled. "Saving the people? I'm not that great." Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Don't you know?" The Mermaid Princess asked with a smile. "Know what?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "In my heart, you have always been a great man. I'm proud of you, proud of you." The Mermaid Princess smiled gently. Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Do you think that my words are mushy?" The Mermaid Princess smiled playfully. "No." Qin Feiyang pulled the Mermaid Princess into his arms and said with a smile, "I have you in this life." These simple words made the Mermaid Princess happy. She didn't misjudge him. This was a man who was worthy of her lifelong commitment. Qin Feiyang said, "The Central Dynasty will be destroyed soon. Then we can go home." "Okay." The Mermaid Princess nodded and asked, "I've heard about the secret realm. Have you found a solution?" "I have. The inner demons, Big Cousin Dong Tianchun, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian can each take 3 people into the secret realm. I've talked to Dong Tianchun and the other 2, and they are willing to give us 9 places. With the inner demons and Big Cousin 6 places, we have a total of 15 places. I was just thinking, who should we take into the secret realm?" Qin Feiyang took the Mermaid Princess's hand and walked around the tea garden with a smile. "Do you have anyone in mind?" The Mermaid Princess hesitated for a moment before looking at Qin Feiyang's side profile and asking, "Yes, Senior Brother and White-Eyed Wolf will definitely go. Long Chan and Long Qin won't let go of this opportunity. I'm going to take Li Feng with me. The rest are Demon Ancestor Dong Zhengyang, Mu Qing, Mu Tianyang, and Big Uncle," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The Mermaid Princess was a bit disappointed when she heard the names. Then she said, "That's only 11 people including yourself. There are still 4 places left." She seemed to be implying something. "Yes. This is what I'm worried about. Who will take the remaining 4 places?" Qin Feiyang was a bit worried. Pei Tianhong, Wang Chongyuan, and Fire Lotus all had the will of heaven, but it was meaningless for them to go. What kind of people do you want to take into the secret realm? The mermaid princess asked. Someone who can help everyone, of course. Someone who is strong enough. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. For example, Mu Qing had the omniscient eye and could spy on others' whereabouts. For example, Long Qin. Her fighting soul could hear other people's voice transmissions. These abilities could be of great use at critical moments. I see. The mermaid princess nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang with anticipation. Then think about it carefully. Besides Long Chun, there must be someone else who can help everyone. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the mermaid princess. Someone else? Who? Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm standing in front of you? The mermaid princess said angrily. Qin Feiyang was stunned and then he shook his head with a wry smile. What's wrong? Can't I help you? The mermaid princess was dissatisfied. Of course. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Of course. Am I so worthless in your eyes? The mermaid princess immediately shook off Qin Feiyang's hand and turned to look away. She was very dissatisfied. No, you misunderstood. I mean, of course you can help us. Qin Feiyang quickly explained. Really? The mermaid princess was doubtful. Clang. Qin Feiyang wanted to say of course again, but he quickly changed his words. Yes. This time. The mermaid princess's expression eased. Qin Feiyang grabbed the mermaid princess's hand again and said with a smile, the Eye of Life has the ability to bring the dead back to life. Of course I can't wait. If it were someone else I would definitely think of letting him in, but… Speaking of this, Qin Feiyang frowned, his face full of worry. The mermaid princess smiled and said, I know you don't want me to take the risk. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and sighed. The secret realm is too dangerous. Even the wife of the ruler of the divine kingdom died in it, so I'm really worried. I know, but have you ever thought about my feelings? The mermaid princess lowered her head and complained. Qin Feiyang looked at her suspiciously. Aren't I trying to protect you? Back in the Great Qin you fought the demon ancestor, Mo Long, Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing. Not only did I not help you, but I was also controlled by the demon ancestor and became your burden. In the end, you even sacrificed your life to open the gate of rebirth to revive me. The mermaid princess's face was full of guilt. How can you be a burden? Where's your burden? You are my legal wife, Qin Feiyang said. But that's the truth. Later in the ancient realm, you fought the dragons, but you still didn't help at all. After that, in the Nether King's Hell and the Sky Cloud realm, I was like a flower that you raised in a greenhouse. Not to mention others, even I feel that I'm just a pretty vase. The mermaid princess pouted. She expressed the grievances and dissatisfaction in her heart. Qin Feiyang chuckled and said, one moment you say you're a flower, the next moment you say you're a vase. You're contradicting yourself. Don't interrupt, I'm talking business with you. Be serious. The mermaid princess glared at him. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Do you know why I worked so hard to cultivate after coming to the divine kingdom? Because I just want to fight side by side with you. Even if I die, I want to be a pair of lovebirds with you. If you die and I'm still alive, then even if I live, there's no meaning in living. In the past, my strength wasn't enough and I couldn't help you, so I was very conscious and silently supported you from behind. I didn't want to be your burden. But now it's different. My Eye of Life has evolved, and I've also grasped the will of heaven. I have the ability to protect myself. So, I have to go to this universe secret territory. It's useless for you to stop me. The mermaid princess snorted. Even if I die, I want to be a pair of lovebirds, Qin Feiyang muttered. For a woman to say such words to you, wouldn't you be touched? Of course. Because this represented her love for you. Unswerving loyalty. Unwavering. However, it was also because of this that he didn't want the mermaid princess to take risks with him. Can you stop messing around? Qin Feiyang said helplessly, when we got married, I promised to take good care of you and protect you in this life. But now, it's the same now. Could it be that after entering the secret territory, you can't take care of me and protect me? The mermaid princess was doubtful. That's not what I meant. In short, I just don't want you to go to the secret territory. I don't want to see you get hurt at all. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Even if others say that I'm a vase behind my back, you don't care? The mermaid princess asked. I don't care. Moreover, you can ask everyone. Who dares to say that you're a vase? Qin Feiyang said. This is because everyone knows that I have the eye of life. What about those who don't know? The mermaid princess pouted. There's no need to care about this. As long as we live happily, it's fine. Qin Feiyang persuaded earnestly. I'm not happy now. The mermaid princess pouted, making Qin Feiyang feel helpless. Chapter 45-76. Tell me, will you let me go or not? The mermaid princess looked at him stubbornly. What if I say no? Qin Feiyang said. You won't. Then in the future speaking of this, the mermaid princess suddenly blushed. What will you do in the future? Qin Feiyang was curious. In the future, after hesitating for a while, the mermaid princess said in one breath, I won't let you go to my bed. Qin Feiyang looked at her in shock. Quite good. She dared to threaten him with this? I'm serious. The mermaid princess stared at Qin Feiyang, her cheeks red. In fact, she wished she could find a hole to hide in. How could he say such shameless words? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and said helplessly, for the sake of my happy life in the future, do I have a choice? Hey, I promise you. Really? Don't lie to me. The mermaid princess was overjoyed. Do I dare to lie to you? What if you get angry and don't let me go to your bed? Qin Feiyang was helpless. I'm just kidding. The mermaid princess lowered her head and said with a red face, Kidding me? You've got guts. No, I have to punish you. Qin Feiyang picked up the mermaid princess and walked toward the courtyard. What are you doing? It's broad daylight. It's embarrassing for others to see. The mermaid princess immediately began to struggle and shouted at the same time. What are you afraid of? Who doesn't know that you're my woman? Qin Feiyang said proudly. You think you're great? The mermaid princess rolled her eyes and urged. Put me down quickly. Are you still kidding me? Qin Feiyang pulled a long face. No. The mermaid princess shook her head repeatedly. Apologize. I'm sorry. Kiss me. No. You don't want to kiss me, do you? Watch me execute you on the spot. You rascal. I am a hooligan, so what? All right. I'm scared of you. After getting what he wanted, Qin Feiyang finally put down the mermaid princess, his face full of pride. Look at how beautiful you are, just like a child. The mermaid princess shook her head speechlessly. Hey, Qin Feiyang grinned. Then, he continued to pull the mermaid princess out of the tea garden and into the boundless herbal field. A cool breeze blew over, making people feel refreshed. The rich medicinal fragrance made people feel comfortable. Most importantly, he was accompanied by his lover. This was the life Qin Feiyang yearned for. He was carefree, looking at the world with a smile, holding your hand and growing old with you. As the sun shone down, a man and a woman walked side by side in the field, forming a beautiful scenery. It was temporary. Qin Feiyang put down his worries and enjoyed this moment of peace. How good would it be if it could stay like this forever? In the distance, such a sentence floated over. Late at night, on the balcony on the second floor, Qin Feiyang walked out with a coat, holding a teacup in his hand, and then sat on the balcony, looking up at the moon in the night sky. The bright starry sky, the quiet night, and the cool breeze blowing in the face made people feel refreshed. You must be tired. The madman and the white-eyed wolf suddenly jumped out. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Tired? What did this mean? Husband and wife life is very long. It seems that the all-nourishing divine brew that the sea lion monster king found for you is quite effective. The madman laughed. When Qin Feiyang heard this, his old face suddenly turned black, and he said angrily, Can you be a human? You still want to peep on this matter? What are you talking about? Don't accuse us wrongly. People who don't know will think that we are peeping toms and affect our reputation. The madman said angrily. How can you have a good reputation? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said angrily, Why did you come to me in the middle of the night? Have you decided on the candidates? The madman asked. Qin Feiyang took a sip of tea and said, There are still 3 spots that have not been decided. Only 3 left? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and said, Me, the 2 of you, Long Chan, Long Sen, Li Feng, Demon Ancestor, Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, Dong Tianshan, Heavenly Lord Ji. And, speaking of this, Qin Feiyong frowned, turned his head to look at the house and sighed. And my family's one. She's going too? The madman and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. Yes. We can't stop them. Qin Feiyong nodded helplessly. The 2 of them remained silent for a while. The madman nodded and said, She can go too. With the Eye of Life, our chances of survival will be increased to 100%. 100%? Don't be so confident. Even the ruler of the Divine Kingdom could only watch his woman die in the secret domain. Qin Feiyong was worried. The white-eyed wolf's mouth twitched and said, Don't tell me you think you'll follow his footsteps just because he's the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, and you're the ruler of the Black Tortoise world. I don't think so. You're just worried. Qin Feiyong said. There's no need for that. The ruler of the Divine Kingdom is the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. We are ourselves. Brother, little madman, little Chan and the others are here to protect you. What are you afraid of? The white-eyed wolf grinned, showing no signs of worry. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. It'll be great if it's that simple. The madman asked, Who are you going to give the remaining 3 places to? I'm thinking about it too. Actually, I really want to give it to the Divine King, the Sovereign and the King. But they're all in the Imperial Capital Mountain now. They don't have the chance to leave. Qin Feiyong frowned. The king and the others had supported and helped him so much. Now that he encountered such a good opportunity, of course, he wouldn't forget about them. Indeed, we should give them a place. The other 2 nodded. But the problem that Qin Feiyong was thinking about did exist. The 3 of them were in the Imperial Capital Mountain now, which meant that they were under the king's nose. Once the 3 of them went missing, it would definitely cause a storm. How about this? Let the king and the others find an excuse to tell the king that they'll be leaving the Imperial Capital Mountain for a while. The madman said. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment and nodded. That's the only way now. But I don't know if the king will agree. They couldn't let the king and the others fake their deaths like Heavenly Lord Ji. Wait. Fake their deaths. Why wasn't it possible? In the past, without Ji Yunhai and the supremacies of the various races, the 3 races did indeed need the king, the Divine King, and the Supreme to take charge of the overall situation. But now, the Purple Gold Divine Dragon race was under Ji Yunhai's care. The human race and the God race also had supremacies. If the 3 of them really faked their deaths, it wouldn't affect the 3 races much. Let them fake their deaths. Qin Feiyong looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf and said, Is that okay? The madman was startled and asked, No problem. Anyway, if nothing unexpected happens, the battle between us and the Central Dynasty will completely erupt after we come out of the secret realm. By then, even if they know that the Divine King and the others aren't dead, it won't matter. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. Okay. We'll listen to you. The madman and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and nodded with a smile. This was going to be fun. There were a total of 24 people who entered the secret realm. Except for the Moon Fairy Princess and the 3 people she brought, the rest were all their people. I have something to do today, at least 2 chapters. Chapter 45-77. We still need you to cooperate with us on this matter. Of course. We also need to ask them if they are willing to enter the secret realm. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and took out the Divine Voice Stone. A moment later. Finally, the Divine Voice Stone reacted. The king's shadow appeared. You still know to send me a message? I thought you had forgotten about our existence. The king looked at Qin Feiyong and the other 2 with some displeasure. They had been in the Central Dynasty for so long, but they had not sent a message to show concern for them. Isn't it because we don't dare to? After all, you are on the Imperial Capital Mountain. What if we send you a message and someone finds out? Qin Feiyong smiled. Aren't you afraid of being found out if you send me a message now? The king rolled his eyes. Qin Feiyong was stunned and quickly took the initiative to admit his mistake. He nodded and said, Yes, it's my fault. We will be more careful next time. Brat. The king scolded and asked, What's the matter? Qin Feiyong said, Did the inner demons and big cousin tell you about the secret realm? Secret realm? The king was slightly stunned and shook his head. I haven't seen them these days. I think they are avoiding suspicion. After all, if they come to us often, it will definitely arouse suspicion. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. Because on the surface, the inner demons had been targeting the king and the others. If people found out that they were too close in private, it would inevitably arouse suspicion. What's the secret realm you mentioned? The king asked. The secret realm is a place we have never come into contact with. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation of the secret realm. What? There is such a place in the world? The king was shocked. A new realm. A supreme sovereign divine weapon. He had never come into contact with these things. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I just want to ask you if you are interested in going to the secret realm? Of course. The king nodded without hesitation. But then, he frowned and said worriedly, I'm right under the emperor's nose. How can I go to the arcane realm? I've already thought of a way to deal with this. Fake death. Qin Feiyang smiled. Fake death? The monarch was taken aback. Yes. Just like uncle. As long as you fake your death, you can follow us to the secret realm. As for how to get there, I've already made arrangements. Qin Feiyang nodded. Fake death. The king pondered for a moment and said worriedly, if I were to fake my death, then the purple gold divine dragon race. I've already considered this matter for you. Right now, the purple gold divine dragon clan is being looked after by Jiyun Hai. Thus, even if you were to fake your death, it wouldn't affect anything. Besides, even if you want to return to the 4 great continents now, it won't be that easy. Qin Feiyang said. Ji Sui went to the 4 great continents and invited the kings to the central dynasty to deal with them. As long as they were still alive, the monarch and the others could forget about returning to the 4 great continents. In other words, only after they were dead would the emperor allow them to return. The monarch pondered for a moment and nodded. That makes sense. Qin Feiyang said. And if I'm not mistaken, when we return from the secret realm, we'll start an all-out war with them. So, if you fake your deaths now, it won't affect us much. Don't tell me we have to fake our deaths. The monarch was shocked. Of course not. What I mean is, you, the divine king, and Jizun will come with me to the secret realm. As for great-grandfather, great-grandmother, and the others, if they want to go, I'll think of something else. Qin Feiyang said. In fact, Qin Feiyang didn't want Boss Ji and the others to go to the secret realm, because these old people were old and didn't need to go through so much trouble. Wouldn't it be better to stay in the central dynasty and enjoy life? So that's how it is. Grandfather and the others are old, it's fine if they don't go. But I'll have to ask the Divine King and Jizun about this. After all, it's not a small matter. The monarch smiled. All right. It's best to go now. I'll make arrangements, Qin Feiyang said. The monarch asked, when did they enter the secret realm? After today there will be 1 more day left. Qin Feiyang smiled. In such a hurry? The monarch was stunned and nodded. All right, I'll go find the Divine King and Jizun now. After saying that, he turned off the sound transmission god stone and got up to leave. Madman was holding a wine pot, drinking while pondering. No one knew what he was thinking about. But suddenly, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Old Qin, isn't fire dance going? Fire dance? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Madman said, I remember someone saying that fire dance's battle soul can restrain your 10 strongest battle souls. Qin Feiyang recalled for a moment, and it seemed that someone had indeed said so. But what was fire dance's battle soul? For so many years, Fire Dance had never mentioned her battle soul. Even her lover, the white-eyed wolf, didn't know. Madman secretly smiled and said, putting aside Fire Dance's battle soul, isn't this trip to the secret realm a good opportunity to matchmake the white-eyed wolf and Long Qin? Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. That's right. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. The secret realm was such a dangerous place, and it was undoubtedly a good opportunity to test the white-eyed wolf. He had said it before. To test the white-eyed wolf's feelings for Long Qin, Fire Dance must be present in person. Because of this, Fire Dance could accept it. But the problem now was that he didn't consider letting Fire Dance enter the secret realm at all. Now the 15 spots had been allocated. If he wanted Fire Dance to enter the secret realm now, he had to exclude one person. But who should he exclude? How about First Uncle? Anyway, his strength is already strong enough. Madman transmitted his voice. First Uncle, Qin Feiyang muttered. He shook his head and said, that won't do. Uncle chose to fake his death on the spot in order to become stronger than before. Now that an opportunity to become stronger is right in front of him, how could he not go? That's true. Madman nodded and pondered for a while before chuckling. Why don't you tell your wife not to go? Cough cough. Qin Feiyang coughed and quickly waved his hand. No, she said that if I don't let her go to the secret realm this time, I won't be able to sleep with her in the future. Madman was stunned. So ruthless? It was a little surprising. Because in everyone's impression, the mermaid princess had always been considerate, knowledgeable, generous, and virtuous. It seemed that this time she had to go. After all, she had already said those words. How troublesome. However, he was really curious about Fire Dance's battle soul. Perhaps he would have a chance to see Fire Dance's battle soul in the secret realm this time. I'll think of another way. There must be another way. Qin Feiyang lowered his head, drinking tea while pondering. White-eyed Wolf looked at the two of them suspiciously and asked, what are you two whispering about, exchanging glances with each other? Are you trying to scheme against me? If you really want to scheme against me, don't hide it, come at me openly. Qin Feiyang and Madman rolled their eyes. Who wants to scheme against you? Isn't it for your lifelong happiness? However, if the White-eyed Wolf really got together with Long Qin in the end, how would they get along with Ice Dragon? Moreover, Ice Dragon was also firmly opposed to the White-eyed Wolf and Long Chan being together. Who cares? When the rice is cooked, I'll carry the fat boy back. Let's see what Ice Dragon can say. Madman secretly laughed. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. At that time, Ice Dragon's expression would be quite interesting. Buzz. Suddenly, the divine sound transmission stone rang. Qin Feiyang took it out and saw that it was a message from the monarch. He hurriedly recovered. Immediately after, 3 figures appeared. Monarch Divine King Zhizun. The Divine King chuckled and said, Kid, you still have a conscience. You didn't hide such a good thing from us. He seemed to be in a good mood. Of course. Qin Feiyang smiled flatteringly. The Divine King rolled his eyes and said with a smile, since you invited us, of course we won't be polite. You arrange it. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. The human race sovereign asked, entering the secret realm? Other than not being able to open the space divine object, are there any other restrictions? I don't know about this yet. You can find a chance to ask the inner demons and big cousin. Qin Feiyang said. There's no need for that. The monarch waved his hand and said with a smile, let's hurry up and arrange the fake death scam. As for the situation of the secret realm, we'll ask Lu Jijin and the inner demons after we enter. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, that's simple. Anyway, the emperor didn't restrict your freedom. You can find an excuse to leave Emperor Capital Mountain. When the time comes, we'll pretend to have a fierce battle. Naturally, we can deceive everyone. Okay. The monarch nodded and asked when. As soon as possible. Qin Feiyang said. The monarch pondered for a moment and said with a smile, then tomorrow morning. It's the middle of the night now. If we run out of Emperor Capital Mountain, it might arouse suspicion. Okay, I'll wait for your notice. Qin Feiyang smiled. After ending the conversation, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a moment before activating the divine sound transmission stone. Buzz. The shadows of the inner demons and Lu Jijin appeared. Has everything been arranged? Lu Jijin asked with a smile. Yes, but now there's still one place missing. Qin Feiyang was a little worried. Still missing. The two were stunned. One had to know. Now there were a total of 15 places. No matter what, it should be enough. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, the monarch, the divine king Zhizun and eldest uncle are all going. Now only Fire Dance is left. What? The monarch and the others are going too. The inner demons were stunned. Yes. I've already made arrangements. Tomorrow morning we'll set up a fake death scam just like eldest uncle. Qin Feiyang said. I see. The two nodded in realization. Little Qinzi, what did you just say? Fire dance is going to. The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment. When he came to his senses, he quickly looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, Yes, isn't her fighting soul the nemesis of our 10 fighting souls? I'd like to see if this is the case. Qin Feiyong nodded and smiled. Don't joke. How can we let a woman offend it? I don't agree. The white-eyed wolf shook his head and his attitude was very firm. Chapter 4578. Do I need your approval for my matters? At this moment, Fire Dance walked over with a trace of dissatisfaction on her face. What are you doing here? The white-eyed wolf stared at her in a daze. Fire Dance pursed her lips and said, I saw the 3 of you hiding here sneakily, so I came to take a look. Sneaky? Qin Feiyong and the other 2 were speechless. Was this what they called sneaky? She was clearly sitting on the balcony in broad daylight. I'm doing this for your own good. The secret realm is too dangerous. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Do I need you to tell me that? Of course I know it's dangerous, but I also know that there are opportunities hidden in the secret realm. There was a trace of yearning in Fire Dance's eyes. Who did you hear that from? The white-eyed wolf was a little angry. Who was so talkative? Were they looking for a beating? Fire Dance said, I took the initiative to ask the demon ancestor and the others. The white-eyed wolf's face darkened. I'm going. You guys do as you see fit. I'm going to talk to the mermaid sister. After Fire Dance finished speaking, she did not disturb them and walked into the inner room. Sigh. Each one is more troublesome than the other. The white-eyed wolf's face was full of helplessness. He really did not understand. Why did they get involved in such a dangerous matter? Qin Feiyong looked at Lu Jijin and the immortal demon and said with a smile, See, so we're still short of 1 slot. Lu Jijin lowered his head and pondered. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, Perhaps we'll need the help of Dong Tianqian and the other 2. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. We've already used up our slots. Now we can only make a move on the Moon Fairy Princess's slot. Because the Moon Fairy Princess still has 3 slots, Lu Jijin said. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. However, it was not that easy to get the Moon Fairy Princess's slot. First, we need to know who the Moon Fairy Princess will bring into the secret realm. As long as we know this, we can carry out the hunting plan. Lu Jijin's eyes sparkled. The so-called hunting plan was undoubtedly to find an opportunity to kill one of them. After that, Fire Dance would disguise herself as that person and follow Princess Yuxian into the secret realm. Of course, it was not necessary for Fire Dance to disguise as this person. Any one of them could do it. This could be changed flexibly. The priority was to succeed in the hunt. Lu Jijin smiled faintly and said, To the Moon Fairy Princess, the inner demons and I are still outsiders. Therefore, it is safest to have Dong Tianqian and the other 2 inquire about it. That makes sense. Qin Feiyong nodded and said with a smile, All right then, I'll contact them first. You guys should also find a chance to leave the imperial capital mountain. I will arrange that. Besides, aren't the 3 of them going to fake their deaths tomorrow morning? As long as they fake their deaths, there will definitely be a commotion. At that time, we will take the opportunity to come out and find you. Lu Jijin smiled. The monarch, the divine king, the sovereign of the human race. One was the leader of the purple gold divine dragon race, the other was the leader of the god race, and the last was the leader of the human race. Once the 3 of them died, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. The entire central dynasty would be in chaos because of this. Moreover, as long as the monarch and the other 2 faked their deaths in the hands of Qin Feiyong, the emperor would not doubt the loyalty of the 3 races. This plan could be considered as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I haven't had a moment of rest these days. After ending the conversation, Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. He once again activated the divine sound transmission stone. Time passed breath by breath. After a long while, the divine sound transmission stone finally responded. Then, Dong Tianqian's shadow appeared. What took you so long? You don't want to see us? The white-eyed wolf stared at Dong Tianqian with ill intentions. Aren't you asking the obvious? Dong Tianqian muttered. If possible, he did not want to see these people again in this life. Before talking to you, do I have to find a hidden place first? What if someone sees us? He stared at the white-eyed wolf angrily. You also have times when you are afraid? The white-eyed wolf chuckled. I don't want to talk to you. Dong Tianchen snorted coldly and looked at Qin Feiyang. Has the list been decided? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, however, we still need you to do us a favor. What favor? Dong Tianchen felt helpless in his heart. This was the consequence of establishing a contract bridge. They would come to him for both major and minor matters. We still need one more slot, so we need you to help us ask the Moon Immortal Princess. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the plan. You guys are too bold. You even dare to have ideas about the Moon Immortal. Aren't you afraid of getting burned? Dong Tianchen looked at the three of them with a dumbfounded expression. His face was full of disbelief. They were indeed a group of daring people. As long as it's an enemy, we have never been afraid of anyone. The white-eyed wolf laughed. So powerful? If you have the ability, why don't you go directly to the emperor and fight to the death? Dong Tianchen sneered. You think I don't dare? The white-eyed wolf said angrily. If you dare, then go. No one can stop you. Dong Tianchen snorted. Who wouldn't dare to say it? The key was to take action. Are you looking for a beating? Do what I tell you to do? Why are you talking so much nonsense? The white-eyed wolf's eyes flashed coldly. If it wasn't for the fact that you still had some value, I would have killed you in the 4 great continents back then. Sigh. Wait a moment, I will send a message to her to ask. Dong Tianchen sighed helplessly and turned off the voice transmission stone. The white-eyed wolf turned to look at Qin Feiyang in frenzy and asked, This kid won't play tricks on us, right? With the blood oath, what tricks can he play? Frenzy shook his head. The blood oath was quite effective. The slightest betrayal would lead to divine retribution. Therefore, there was no need to worry about this at all. After waiting quietly for a moment, the voice transmission stone rang. Qin Feiyang quickly activated the voice transmission stone. After Dong Tianchen's projection appeared, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I have already asked the Moon Immortal. She wants to bring the 3 Dong brothers to the secret realm. Dong Dalong brothers? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Dong Dalong is the eldest, Dong Erlong is the second, and Dong Sanlong is the third. The 3 of them are blood brothers. They have always been the personal guards of the Moon Immortal, and are responsible for the safety of the Moon Immortal. Therefore, they are also the people the Moon Immortal trusts the most. Dong Tianchen explained. So that's how it is. Then how strong are they? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course they are very strong. It is said that they have already grasped all the ultimate mysteries. Moreover, the emperor also bestowed each of them a high-grade sovereign weapon. Dong Tianchen said. 1 for each. So generous. Qin Feiyang and the other 2 were stunned. Dong Tianchen said. After all, they are the personal guards of the Moon Immortal. The emperor gave them the sovereign weapon to protect the Moon Immortal. Dong Dalong, Dong Erlong, Dong Sanlong, Qin Feiyang murmured. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, and he said, Then one of the 3 brothers. But they may not leave the imperial capital mountain, because we will set off for the secret realm in the morning the day after tomorrow. They will definitely stay on the imperial capital mountain to adjust their condition. Dong Tianchen said. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, That is simple. Who knows, they might leave the imperial capital mountain tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning? So confident. Dong Tianchen muttered. Where did Qin Feiyang's confidence come from? You Dongping, Dong Xian and 9 men. Come to the valley to see me the day after tomorrow morning. Qin Feiyang said. Okay. Dong Tianchen nodded. After turning off the sound transmission godstone, Dong Tianchen sat alone in the secret room, his face full of worry. 9 will of the heavens powerhouses. Even for their direct descendants it was a huge loss. But there was no other way. If they wanted to protect themselves, they could only sacrifice these people. But fortunately, they were the ones who decided on the candidates. When the time came, they would bring 9 people who were not that important to their family. Yes, offerings. Even a city like Green Wind City had offerings, let alone the number 1 direct descendant family. The offerings in Dong Tianchen's family were not 100, but at least 80. Although these people were all will of the heavens powerhouses, they were not members of their direct descendants. So, even if they were sacrificed, even if the sacrifice of the offerings was a loss to their family, it was still better than sacrificing their family members. Time flew by. The next day the sky had just turned white. Qin Feiyang received the king's notice and prepared to leave the imperial capital mountain. Immediately, Qin Feiyang left the Black Tortoise realm, activated the concealment technique, and rushed to the vicinity of the imperial capital mountain, looking at the gate of the imperial capital mountain from afar. Time passed bit by bit. When the sky was completely bright, the sun slowly rose. Finally, 3 figures flew over from the depths of the imperial capital mountain. It was the king, the divine king, the sovereign of the human race. "Where are you going?" Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan opened their eyes and asked the 3 of them. The divine king was stunned, turned his head to look at the 2 of them, and joked, "Gatekeepers should have the awareness of gatekeepers. We are guests invited by the emperor and his wife. Do you have the right to ask?" Anger flashed in Dong Hanzong's eyes. Dong Qingyuan held Dong Hanzong and smiled. "Don't misunderstand, we are also thinking about your safety. After all, Qin Feiyang and the others are very rampant now. Thank you for your kindness. But we know what to do. It's not easy to come to the central dynasty, we must take a good look." The king smiled slightly. His expression was still amiable. "Okay. You guys be careful. It's best not to go to remote places." Dong Qingyuan nodded and reminded. "Thank you for the reminder." The king smiled. The 3 of them left the imperial capital mountain without looking back. Arrogant? It's best to die in front of them. Dong Hanzong looked at the backs of the king and the others, his eyes flashing with a murderous light. "Don't worry. Arrogant people usually don't live long." Dong Qingyuan sneered. A few lowly people from the 4 great continents dared to come to the central dynasty and be arrogant. Weren't they digging their own graves? When the king and the others completely disappeared, the 2 of them withdrew their gaze. "Teacher, I have a feeling that the emperor is hiding something from us," Dong Hanzong said telepathically. "I have the same feeling. Because Dong Tianchun, Dong Xian, and Dong Ping have been coming to the imperial capital mountain too frequently." Dong Qingyuan's face had a trace of suspicion. Boom! Roar! But at this moment, a loud noise suddenly sounded in the distance. Immediately after, there was a deafening dragon roar. "What's going on?" Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan stood up and stared in the direction of the loud noise and dragon roar. It seemed to be the direction where the king and the others disappeared. Could it be? The 2 of them looked at each other and immediately rushed out of the imperial capital mountain, activated the moment of time and the will of heaven, and rushed in the direction of the loud noise. Chapter 45-79. In less than 10 breaths, the 2 arrived at the scene of the incident. The ground below had been razed to the ground. There was blood everywhere on the ground, and there was even eye-catching purple-gold dragon blood. There were 3 corpses lying on the broken ground. They were 2 humans and a purple-gold dragon. The 2 humans were badly mutilated and their heads were all broken. Blood was gushing out. The purple-gold dragon next to them was tens of thousands of feet long. However, his 10,000 zhang tall body was in tatters. The purple-gold dragon blood was gushing out from the wounds all over its body like a waterfall. That's right. It was the divine king, the lord of the Holy Land. There was still a pungent smell of blood in the air. Looking at this scene, Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingqing were in disbelief. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them fell to the ground. What's going on? The 2 came back to their senses and quickly scanned the surrounding void. Except for the Lord of the Holy Land, there was not even a shadow here. No, there's Qin Feiyang's aura here. Dong Hanzong's gaze trembled. Could it be Qin Feiyang's doing? Dong Qingyuan swooped down and landed in front of the Lord of the Holy Land. After a careful examination, his heart sank. He looked up at Dong Hanzong and said, "They're dead." Dong Hanzong's gaze trembled. He had also carefully identified that there was indeed Qin Feiyang's aura left behind. So, the death of the Lord of the Holy Land and the Holy Land must have something to do with Qin Feiyang. "You dare to leave the imperial capital mountain, aren't you courting death? You have to die too." Suddenly, a murderous voice sounded in the sky. The two hurriedly looked up and saw a young man in white suddenly appear in the originally empty void. Who else could this young man in white be but Qin Feiyang? Boom! The next moment, 3,000 incarnations, dual heaven's will, and the law of life and death instantly appeared. Then they turned into a torrent, carrying a destructive aura, and rushed toward Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyun. Dong Qingyuan's expression changed and he hurriedly turned around to escape. But Dong Hanzong did not escape. He activated the universe domain. Inverse universe. As Qin Feiyang roared, the star symbols sparkled with dazzling divine light. A flow of vast, invisible energy flooded towards Qin Feiyang's ultimate Upanishad. The moment they met, Qin Feiyang's 20,000 ultimate meanings stopped in the void and turned to face Qin Feiyang. This was Dong Hanzong's power. Regardless of whether it was the Qian Kuan domain or the other four domains, they all had heaven-defying power. This scene made Qin Feiyang raise his eyebrows involuntarily. As expected, without the white-eyed wolf, it would not be easy to kill Dong Hanzong. Dong Hanzong glanced at the fleeing Dong Qingyuan and transmitted his voice, "Qin Feiyang, I don't want to fight you. I want to talk to you. What can we talk about?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, "Cooperate." Dong Hanzong enunciated every word clearly. "What?" Qin Feiyang's body stiffened. This answer was too unexpected. Dong Hanzong wanted to cooperate with him? Was he joking with him? "I'm not joking. Let's cooperate. I'll help you get rid of the emperor and his wife, as well as the 10 main families. You help me kill the ruler of the divine kingdom, and gain control of the divine kingdom. And I promise that as long as I gain control of the divine kingdom and the sky cloud realm will stay out of each other's way." Dong Hanzong transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Gaining control of the divine kingdom meant becoming the ruler of the divine kingdom. This person's ambition was too great. He wanted to kill the ruler of the divine kingdom and replace him? As expected, this was an ambitious person who could never be satisfied. Boom! At this moment, Imperial Capital Mountain also erupted with terrifying auras. There was the Emperor's aura, Jisui's aura, Princess Yuxian, the inner demons, Lu Jijin, Boss Ji, and the others. These auras were leaving the Imperial Capital Mountain and approaching. The Emperor and the others are here. Hurry up and decide. Dong Hanzong urged anxiously. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he laughed. "I need to think about this. After all, you're not an ordinary person. Cooperating with you is no different from asking a tiger for its skin." After saying that, he turned around and flew away without looking back. Asking a tiger for its skin. Cooperating with you is the same as asking a tiger for its skin, isn't it? We're all the same. There's no need to be so hypocritical. Dong Hanzong's eyes flashed coldly. The tens of thousands of ultimate esoteric in the sky carried a monstrous power as they attacked Qin Feiyang. Whether you believe it or not, we're not the same kind of people. Qin Feiyang chuckled. The dual heavenly Tao wills activated moment of time and quickly disappeared from Dong Hanzong's sight. "Where do you think you're going?" At this moment, with a loud roar, the inner demons led a group of people and arrived at lightning speed. Among them were Lu Jijin, the Moon Fairy Princess, and a dozen unfamiliar faces. Looking at the three lying in a pool of blood below, their eyes darkened. Qin Feiyang fled in that direction. Dong Hanzong pointed at the void in front of them and said in a deep voice. The inner demons looked at the Moon Fairy Princess and said, "We'll chase after him. You stay here and wait for your parents." "Why should I?" The Moon Fairy Princess glared at him angrily. She felt that in the eyes of the inner demons, she was just a burden. "We don't have the energy to protect you." After the inner demon finished speaking, he left the Moon Immortal Princess behind and activated the dual will of the heavenly Tao and the instant of time. He led Lu Jijin and a dozen other unfamiliar faces in the direction where Qin Feiyang had disappeared. "Bastard!" The Moon Fairy Princess stomped her feet in anger. Dong Hanzong's eyes flashed. He walked to the Moon Fairy Princess and said angrily, "That Lu Yuntian is too rude. It's none of your business. Shut up." But before Dong Hanzong could finish, the Moon Fairy Princess glared at him with disgust. Dong Hanzong's expression froze. He wanted to take the opportunity to get close to the Moon Fairy Princess and win her favor, But he didn't expect to be scolded by the Moon Fairy Princess. And she didn't show any mercy. This made Dong Hanzong's heart surge with anger. A hint of madness flashed in his eyes. However, when he saw the emperor and his wife rushing over with the army of death, he immediately dispelled the thought in his mind. What happened? The emperor and his wife's expressions changed when they saw the three lying on the ground. Who did this? Boss Ji and the other old men were even more furious. It's Qin Feiyang. Dong Qingyuan, who had escaped, ran over and said to the emperor, "Damn it, it's him again." The emperor clenched his fists. Ji Laoshe rushed over to the three and roared, "Qin Feiyang, I won't let you get away with this." Laoshe, Boss Ji and the others looked at Ji Laoshe. Dead. They're all dead. Ji Laoshe cried. Bastard. The group of elders was also filled with grief and anger. What about Lu Yunfeng and the others? The emperor asked. The Moon Fairy Princess said, Lu Yuntian is chasing after them. Nonsense. Doesn't he know that Qin Feiyang has over 400,000 strands of origin energy in his hands? Are they going to die? The emperor roared and looked at Ji Sui. Qin Feiyang didn't open the space-time tunnel to escape. He must be trying to lure us to chase after him. That way he can kill more people. So I'll go save them. You stay here and watch over the others. Don't let them set up another trap for us. All right. Ji Sui nodded. We'll go too. Boss Ji and the others said. All right. The emperor didn't hesitate and nodded in agreement. The emperor was Boss Ji's grandson. Now that his grandson died at the hands of Qin Feiyang, he must be furious. Even the emperor couldn't stop the old men's murderous intent. Plus the old men were strong. If they caught up to Qin Feiyang, they could be of great help. Qin Feiyang. At this moment he was above a lake. Suddenly he stopped. Then he scanned the lake and the surrounding mountains. His eyes flashed coldly. Boom! Various ultimate profound meanings appeared. A terrifying aura shrouded the area. The beasts in the area began to run for their lives. Boom! Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the various ultimate mysteries descended. With a loud explosion, the mountains and rivers within several million kilometers were instantly obliterated, leaving only rubble. Then he turned to look at the void with a hint of a smile in his eyes. Because he was waiting for the inner demons in Lu Jijin. This was what they agreed on. 3 breaths later, streams of powerful auras rolled over. It was the inner demons in Lu Jijin's group. Then in a few blinks of an eye, the inner demons in Lu Jijin flew over with a dozen people. He didn't run away? A tall and sturdy man beside inner demon looked at Qin Feiyang, who was standing in the void in front of him, in bewilderment. The inner demons in Lu Jijin looked at him with a smile, but their expressions were serious. They asked, "Did you split your soul in advance to save your life? It happened too suddenly." No. The burly man shook his head. That's good. The inner demons nodded. Good. The burly man looked at the inner demons with suspicion. Facing a monster like Qin Feiyang, the most sensible thing to do was to leave a soul in advance. Now, he didn't leave a soul, so how could it be good? Of course it's good. If you leave a soul in advance, we can't do anything to you. The inner demon snickered. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and he slapped the burly man's head. With a crisp crack, the burly man's head exploded on the spot, and blood stained the sky. Only his soul was left. What's going on? This sudden turn of events not only shocked the burly man's soul, but the other dozen or so people as well. The other dozen people were all members of the Death God army. They never thought that the deputy commander would suddenly attack Dong Erlong. That's right. This burly man was one of Princess Yuxian's bodyguards, Dong Erlong. Haha. Don't be surprised because you're going to die too. Lu Jijin suddenly laughed. The dozen members of the Death God army looked at Lu Jijin and couldn't help but feel numb. Although the smile on Lu Jijin's face didn't have any murderous intent, it made people feel terrified. Chapter 4580. The next moment, Lu Jijin attacked the dozen people with lightning speed. Before they could react, they screamed and their sea of chi shattered. Army commander. They all looked at Lu Jijin in disbelief. Why did this happen? Why did he suddenly kill them all of a sudden? Shouldn't the person he wanted to kill be Qin Feiyang, who was walking over? Could it be the two army commanders had been bribed by Qin Feiyang? But how is this possible? In the Central Dynasty, the two army commanders could get whatever they wanted. What could Qin Feiyang give them? In short, with Qin Feiyang's capital and ability, it was impossible for him to bribe the two army commanders. But why was this so? Qin Feiyang walked over with a smile and stood beside Lu Jijin and the inner demons. He smiled and said, "Thank you for your hard work. It's all because we cooperated well." Lu Jijin waved his hand and smiled. If it weren't for their cooperation, it would be impossible to complete the hunting plan so smoothly. They were really bribed by Qin Feiyang. Why? Dong Erlong and the dozen members of the Death God army looked at the inner demons in disbelief. Why? The inner demons raised the corner of his mouth and said, "Because he's handsome." Qin Feiyang was stunned. Dong Erlong and the others were also stunned. Being handsome was also a reason? Who was he kidding? Qin Feiyang urged, "There will definitely be people chasing after us later. Quickly deal with it." Lu Jijin glanced at the dozen people, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. He pointed at Wang Erlong and the other 3 men and 3 women and said, "Leave Wang Erlong and the 6 of them. Kill the rest." Okay. The inner demons laughed. The power of law rolled out and rushed towards the group of people like a torrent. No, the dozen people panicked and fled frantically. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang released his pressure, and the group of people was immediately imprisoned in the void. Boom! The next moment, the power of laws arrived. Other than Wang Erlong and the 3 men and 3 women, everyone else died on the spot, not even leaving behind their souls. Lu Yunfeng, why is this happening? Wang Erlong roared and trembled. Why? Lu Jijin murmured. He turned to Qin Feiyang and smiled. Little cousin, why don't you tell him why? What? Little cousin? Wang Erlong's eyes trembled. The eyes of the other 3 men and 3 women were also filled with bewilderment. The commander of the Death God Legion actually called Qin Feiyang his little cousin? That was to say, were they cousins? But how was that possible? The Legion commander was born in the 4 great continents of the Divine Kingdom, while Qin Feiyang was from the Sky Cloud realm. They were not related at all, so how could they be cousins? After hearing the name little cousin, I think I don't need to say it. You should understand it now. Qin Feiyang looked at the 7 people and said with a faint smile, "Impossible." Wang Erlong shook his head. But that's the truth. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, 7 figures appeared. They were the Mermaid Princess, Fire Dance, Long Qin, Long Chan, Li Feng, Mu Qing, and the Demon Ancestor. Qin Feiyang looked at the Mermaid Princess, Fire Dance, and Long Qin and said with a smile, "You guys follow by the side of Big Cousin and the inner demons. I'm more at ease. You guys can disguise yourselves as the 3 of them." All right. The 3 women nodded and looked at the 3 women among the 6 people of the Death God Legion. Subsequently, they took out a phantom form pill and put it into their mouths. Their appearances suddenly changed. Brother Long, staying by the Moon Fairy Princess's side is a very dangerous thing. You must have a calm mind, so I'll have to trouble you to pretend to be Wang Erlong. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Chan again. No problem. Long Chan smiled faintly and also took out a phantom form pill and threw it into his mouth. Qin Feiyang pointed at the other 3 men of the Death God Legion and said with a smile, "Li Feng, Mu Qing, the Demon Ancestor, you guys can disguise yourselves as them." All right. The 3 of them immediately took out their phantom form pills. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. What are you guys doing? Dong Erlong looked at the group of people with a face full of shock. Seems like your head isn't very bright. Isn't it obvious that we're doing this? We'll go to the Universe Secret Realm for you guys. Qin Feiyang laughed. Universe Secret Realm? What place? Not only Dong Erlong, but even the 3 men and 3 women were puzzled. They still don't know? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and looked at the inner demons and Lu Jijin. Don't know. They only know that we'll bring them to a place the day after tomorrow. Lu Jijin shook his head. I see. Since they don't know, then there's no need for me to talk nonsense with you guys. Li Feng, take away their divine voice stones. Qin Feiyang said. Take away the divine voice stones? Why don't we just kill them? Li Feng was puzzled. We can't kill them now. The reason is the divine voice stones. If we kill them, their contract bridge will disappear, and the people who have established the contract bridge with them will realize this. So, we have to wait until they enter the secret realm or come out before killing them, Qin Feiyang explained. That's true. Li Feng nodded and immediately went forward to take away the divine voice stones in Qian Kuan rings. Suddenly, Li Feng looked at Dong Erlong and asked, "Don't you still have a high-grade dominator weapon?" Dong Erlong was silent and stared at Li Feng and Qin Feiyang with a gloomy expression. Lu Jiajin smiled faintly and said, "You probably left in a hurry and didn't bring it with you. To be honest, I don't care about high-grade dominator weapons anymore." Li Feng laughed. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. High-grade dominator weapons were indeed not that attractive now. Immediately, Qin Feiyang looked at the mermaid princess and the others and said, "Go to the Black Tortoise world and change into their clothes. At the same time, help the monarch, the divine king, and Jizun repair their bodies." Before faking their deaths, the monarch, the divine king, and Jizun's souls had been sent to the Black Tortoise world by Qin Feiyang. In other words, what the monarch and the others saw was only the bodies of the three. Their bodies naturally needed to be rebuilt. Otherwise, how could they go to the secret realm? The three of them directly abandoned their bodies because of the mermaid princess's Eye of Life. Because of the Eye of Life, they could rebuild their bodies in minutes, so there was no need to worry at all. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Dong Erlong, the 6 members of the Death God army, and the mermaid princess and the others instantly disappeared without a trace. After all, the mermaid princess, Long Chun, and Huo Wu were all women. It was impossible for them to change their clothes in front of a group of men. The expressions of these people before were too funny. They thought we were joking with them. The inner demons laughed. As expected, Lu Jiajin and Qin Feiyang looked at each other and smiled. After all, in the eyes of these people from the Central Dynasty, one of them came from the Sky Cloud realm and the other came from the 4 great continents. How could they be cousins? Qin Feiyang asked. "Have you finished reading the ancient book with the monarch?" It's actually a handwritten letter written by the sovereign of the divine kingdom. Lu Jiajin nodded. Handwritten letter? Then this is a priceless treasure. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. For us who are about to enter the secret realm, it is indeed a priceless treasure. Because there are detailed records of the places that the sovereign and his wife went to, including the places that the monarch and his wife went to when they entered the secret realm. However, according to the handwritten letter, the places that the dominator couple and the monarch couple have been to combined are only the tip of the iceberg, Lu Jiajin said. In that case, the sovereign and his wife didn't go to all the places in the secret realm? Qin Feiyang asked. It is said that the secret realm is very big. The sovereign and his wife stayed in the secret realm for 10,000 years, but they didn't find the end. Lu Jiajin nodded. 10,000 years. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes, the secret realm has a time limit. No matter who it is, they can only stay in the secret realm for 10,000 years. When the time is up, the secret realm will automatically expel them. In other words, at that time, no matter where we are, once 10,000 years are up, we will be expelled from the secret realm. Lu Jiajin said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. After pondering for a while, he asked, in other words, the secret realm only has an entrance and no exit. If you want to leave the secret realm, you can only wait for the secret realm to expel you. Yes, once you enter the secret realm, even if you have nothing to do inside, you will have to stay for 10,000 years. Lu Jiajin nodded. That's quite good. We don't have to look for the exit. Qin Feiyang smiled. It's good. However, what if we want to come out early? At that time we can only watch helplessly. Lu Jiajin smiled bitterly. The gate of the divine kingdom is in our hands, and the sovereign of the divine kingdom is also restrained by the ice dragon in the Nether King's hell. The emperors of the 3 major races of the 4 continents don't suspect anything, so nothing should happen that requires us to come back early. Qin Feiyang said. Let's hope so. Lu Jiajin smiled and said, I'm just afraid that it will be like when you entered the Tianzhong divine treasure, and have to rush back before the time is up. After all, no one can predict the future. Qin Feiyang nodded. It also made sense. He smiled and said, "Then let's take it one step at a time." In the blink of an eye, the mermaid princess and the others had completed their disguises and helped the king and the other two reconstruct their bodies, just in case the king and the other two destroyed their divine voice stone. Once the divine voice stone was destroyed, the contract bridge would disappear. This way, no matter how smart the emperors were, they wouldn't be able to find out that they were faking their deaths. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and called the mermaid princess and the others out of the black tortoise realm. Looking at the mermaid princess and the others, Qin Feiyong, Lu Jijin, and the inner demons looked at each other. Even they couldn't recognize them now. Be careful and don't give yourself away. Especially Brother Long. You have to be careful around the Moon Immortal Princess and Dong Erlong's high-grade sovereign divine weapon. You have to be careful too. Qin Feiyong reminded. Dong Erlong and the sovereign divine weapon had been together for so many years. They must be very familiar with each other. The sovereign divine weapon might be able to detect things that humans couldn't. You're still worried about me? Long Chun smiled faintly. Actually, I was prepared to kill Dong Sanlong. Because Dong Sanlong is a loner and doesn't talk much. It's easier to impersonate him. But just now Dong Sanlong came too late and could only attack Dong Erlong. Lu Jijin smiled. It's the same no matter who it is. Long Chen's tone was calm and full of confidence. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded and laughed. Then we'll meet at the Imperial Capital Mountain the day after tomorrow. Chapter 4581. Are you leaving just like that? Seeing that Qin Feiyong had the intention to leave, Lu Jijin asked with a smile. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Now everyone knows that you have more than 400,000 strands of origin energy in your hands. Isn't it easy to kill us? If the emperor comes and sees that we are still alive, what do you think he will think? Lu Jijin laughed. You mean we still have to put on a show? Qin Feiyong asked. Of course. You have to hunt us down. Lu Jijin nodded and smiled. He turned to look at the inner demons and the mermaid princess and said, "Look a little embarrassed. Otherwise this show won't be real." They looked at each other, shook their heads and laughed. All of them were actors. Immediately, they had put themselves in a very difficult situation. Their bodies were also stained with blood. Let's begin. Lu Jijin looked at the inner demons and laughed. The inner demons grinned and immediately activated the dual will of heavenly Tao and the momentary time. They swept up Lu Jijin and the mermaid princess and the other 7 and turned to run in the direction of Imperial Capital Mountain. This guy can actually comprehend the laws of life and death. He is indeed my inner demons. Qin Feiyong murmured with a smile at the corner of his mouth. Bang! The next moment, murderous aura erupted from his body. The dual will of heavenly Tao and the momentary time were activated. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, the white-eyed wolf appeared. Qin Feiyong said, "Take out your origin energy and hunt them down." The white-eyed wolf laughed. A wave of origin energy emerged and turned into a 3-foot-long sword. Afterward, the two of them held the 3-foot-long sword and chased after the inner demons and the others. One could imagine the sharpness of the long sword formed by the origin energy. Wherever it went, the void collapsed and mountains shattered. It was like the scene of the end of the world. Damn it. Are you serious? The corners of the inner demon's mouth twitched. They really took out their origin energy to hunt them down. Didn't you say that you are serious? Li Feng snickered. The inner demon's face darkened as they increased their speed to the maximum. About 10 breaths passed. Suddenly, powerful auras surged from the void in front of them. It was the Emperor Boss Ji and a group of old men. Seeing the inner demons being hunted down, the Emperor's expression changed. He roared, "Qin Feiyong, Goldwing Wolf King, don't you dare!" Boom! His voice fell. A stream of origin energy burst out of his body, emitting a destructive might. It roared like a giant dragon. How unlucky! Just one more step and I'll be able to slaughter them. The white-eyed wolf cursed. There's no other way. We can only retreat first. Qin Feiyong looked up at the emperor and sneered. I'd like to see if you can protect them for the rest of their lives. It's best if you don't leave the Imperial Capital Mountain. With that, He opened a space-time tunnel and entered it with the white-eyed wolf without looking back. Stop! How dare you kill the people of my purple gold divine dragon clan? This old man will make you pay with your blood. Ji Laoshi roared and rushed toward the space-time tunnel. When he arrived in front of the space-time tunnel, he threw a punch in anger and the space-time tunnel collapsed on the spot. However, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf did not fall out. Obviously, the two had teleported away. Damn it, Ji Laoshi roared, his body full of killing intent. After the emperor met up with the inner demons and the others, he asked with concern, "Are you all okay?" "We are fine. But several members died in their hands. It's all my fault. I was too impulsive. I forgot that he has more than 40 origin energy. Your Majesty, please punish me." Lu Jijin lowered his head, his face full of guilt and self-blame. The emperor clenched his hands, took a deep breath and smiled. "It's good that you are all okay." The members of the Death God army were all experts of the will of the heavens. Naturally, their value was extraordinary, but compared to these two brothers, they were not worth mentioning. If these two brothers died in the hands of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, it would be a real loss to the central dynasty. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your forgiveness." Lu Jijin cupped his hands and thanked him. Long Chun and the others stood aside obediently. The more they spoke, the more mistakes they would make. Therefore, they tried their best to remain silent. The emperor looked at the furious Ji Laoshi and sighed, "Senior, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect this to happen." "Of course you didn't expect it. The ones who died are not the direct descendants of your Dong clan," Ji Laoshi said angrily. A hint of anger flashed across the emperor's face. "But over the years, many of my Dong clan members have also died in their hands. Isn't it because you are useless? The entire central dynasty, hundreds of thousands of experts of the will of the heavens and 20,000 origin energy, but they can't do anything to a kid from a low-level civilization. I feel embarrassed for you." Ji Laoshi was furious. He knew that the king and the other two had faked their deaths, because the king had told them about this plan last night. Of course they had no objections. After all, the secret realm had the opportunity to enter a new realm. Therefore, the sadness and anger that Ji Laoshi showed was just an act for the emperor. "We are useless." The emperor was furious. "Your Majesty, please calm down. The king is their grandson. Now that the king is dead, they must be very sad, so they have lost their minds. Please don't take it too seriously. Besides, you asked Her Majesty to invite the king and the others. If you take it too seriously, they will take it seriously too. They will say that the king and the other two wouldn't have died if you didn't call them to the central dynasty." Lu Jijin quickly comforted him. The emperor glanced at the group of old people and suppressed the anger in his heart. "It's useless for us to blame each other. My condolences." Sigh. Old Ji sighed deeply and looked at Ji Laoshi. "Laoshi, you can't blame the emperor for this. You should blame Qin Feiyang and the others." "That's right. They killed little Wang. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. If you want revenge, you have to go to them. I didn't expect that there would be such a cruel descendant of the purple gold divine dragon clan. I've said it before. We must prevent our clan members from marrying humans. Qin Feiyang's existence is a blasphemy to the bloodline of the purple gold divine dragon clan." Old Ji and the others were also furious. "Seniors, please calm your anger. Qin Feiyang must be planning to defeat us one by one. If you lose your mind and fight them head-on, you will be the ones to suffer." Lu Jijin comforted them. "Makes sense. We must stay calm. We can't be angered by them and lose our minds." Old Ji nodded. The group of old people took a deep breath. Old Ji frowned. "But isn't this too much of a coincidence? The king and the other two were attacked not long after they left the imperial capital mountain. Did someone inform them? There's definitely no such thing as leaking information." Lu Jijin shook his head. "Why?" Everyone looked at him suspiciously. "Because everyone on the imperial capital mountain is one of us. Everyone is loyal to the central dynasty and the divine kingdom. If I'm not mistaken, Mu Qing has been monitoring us with the omniscient eye. That's why they know our whereabouts so well. Besides, last time at the Eight Immortal Mountain, we set a trap for the king to go and make a deal with them. This matter must have completely angered Qin Feiyang. In the end, didn't Qin Feiyong say that he won't let the king and the others off? So this is their revenge? Lu Jijin said. Bastard. What a bastard. The group of old people didn't hesitate at all. They could say anything. Let's go back first. In the future, don't leave the imperial capital mountain unless there's something urgent. The emperor sighed. Let's go. We can't just leave little Wang's body in the wilderness. We have to protect his body. When we get rid of Qin Feiyong in the future, we'll bring him back to the 4 great continents for a proper burial. Boss Ji sighed. Then the group of old people turned and left. The old man's back looked extremely lonely. Sigh. Lu Jijin shook his head and sighed. He looked at Long Chun and the others and said, You guys go back and recuperate? Yes. The 7 of them nodded respectfully. Soon, only the emperor Lu Jijin and the inner demons were left here. The emperor walked in front, followed by Lu Jijin and the inner demons. Both of them were thinking that if they suddenly made a move against the emperor now, they might be able to succeed in one strike. Because now the emperor was not wary of them at all. However, the emperor was not wary, but the sovereign divine weapon lurking in the emperor's body might automatically run out to protect him. Besides, they would enter the secret realm the day after tomorrow. It was better not to complicate things. Lu Jijin asked in a low voice, Your Majesty, such a big thing happened suddenly. Should we postpone the trip to the secret realm? Postpone? The emperor was stunned. Yes, the central dynasty has already been stirred up by Qin Feiyong and the others. Everyone is in a panic. If we suddenly leave at this time, I'm afraid everyone will panic even more. Lu Jijin was worried. What you said is very reasonable. Because of this, your trip to the secret realm this time must be kept a secret. Don't let anyone know. As for postponing, a cold light flashed in the emperor's eyes and he said in a deep voice, Not only can we not postpone it, but we have to go in earlier. Earlier? Lu Jijin and the inner demons were stunned. That's right. Qin Feiyong and the others are getting more and more arrogant. You have to enter the secret realm quickly and find the opportunity to step into a new realm. The longer you delay, the worse it will be for us. After all, you have to stay in the secret realm for 10,000 years. I wonder what Qin Feiyong and the others will do to the central dynasty in 10,000 years. The emperor sighed. They had never expected that a group of ants from a low-level civilization would be able to shake the central dynasty. It makes sense. Lu Jijin nodded and asked, So when do we have to postpone it? Tomorrow morning. Inform Dong Tianqian, Dong Xian, and Dong Ping to gather at the imperial palace early tomorrow morning. The emperor pondered for a while and said, Yes. Lu Jijin replied respectfully. Then he looked at the inner demons with a trace of a smile in his eyes. It didn't matter whether it was brought forward or postponed, because they could inform Qin Feiyong at any time. However, it could be seen that the emperor really attached great importance to Qin Feiyong and the others now. Even though they were beside him, they could clearly feel the pressure from the emperor. Chapter 4582. What did you say? Sky Fortune City. The city lord's mansion. In a pavilion, Dong Tianqian and Dong Ping suddenly stood up and looked at the guard standing in front of them, their faces full of shock. It's true. Just now, some of our people went to the imperial capital mountain to check it out. They did see the bodies of the monarch, the divine king, and the supremes. The guard also said in shock. How is that possible? Dong Tianqian murmured. Qin Feiyong and the others had been in the 4 great continents for so many years, but the monarch and the other 2 were all killed as soon as they entered the central dynasty. Was it because of what happened at the 8 Immortal Mountain that Qin Feiyong was so angry that he killed them? Is the central dynasty poisonous? Dong Ping smiled bitterly. The corner of Dong Tianqian's mouth twitched. He looked at the guard and waved his hand. You can leave now. Yes. The guard bowed and responded. Then he turned around and left quickly. Dong Tianqian returned to his seat and picked up the teacup on the table. He lowered his head and sipped the tea while thinking about something. Brother, what are you thinking about? Dong Ping looked at him suspiciously. I don't know why. I feel that this matter is a bit strange. Dong Tianqian murmured. Strange? Dong Ping was stunned. What was so strange about this? Think about it. We're about to enter the secret realm. Qin Feiyang shouldn't go to the imperial capital mountain to kill people at this time because there may be variables. I don't believe that Qin Feiyang doesn't understand this. I don't believe that Qin Feiyang is such an irrational person. But why did he go to kill the monarch and the other two at this time? Even if he hates the monarch and the other two, he doesn't have to kill them now. He can wait until he comes back from the secret realm. Dong Tianqian analyzed. Dong Ping was stunned and said with a smile, maybe it's because Qin Feiyang is not confident that he can come back alive from the secret realm, so he wants to kill these enemies before entering the secret realm. It's still not right. Dong Tianqian shook his head. Qin Feiyang's real enemy was the emperor and the entire central dynasty. Logically speaking, even if they were to make a move, they should have targeted those from the central dynasty first, especially those from the direct line of descent. The monarch, the divine king, and the supremes of the human race were all powerful figures, but their influence was limited to the 4 great continents. To put it bluntly, their deaths did not have much impact on the central dynasty. Could this be another scheme of Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong? Dong Ping pondered for a while and suddenly asked in surprise. Dong Tianqian looked at Dong Ping in confusion. How did Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong get involved? Just like what happened in the 4 great continents, Dong Qingyuan set up a trap to kill Lu Yunfeng and his brother's family and frame Qin Feiyang and the others. He wanted the 2 brothers to hunt down Qin Feiyang and the others. Perhaps they're using the same trick again this time around. Set up a trap and kill the 3 of them. Then let Boss Ji and the other old men fight with Qin Feiyang. Dong Ping said. In the end, even he believed his own speculation. Because in his opinion, this speculation made a lot of sense. Dong Tianqian was stunned and said with a wry smile, Dong Qingyuan is not an idiot. How could he make the same mistake twice? Besides, they're just 2 watchdogs now. How could they be so powerful? Unless they're colluding with Qin Feiyang. Wait. Dong Tianqian raised his eyebrows and murmured, colluding? You don't really think they're colluding with Qin Feiyang, do you? Dong Ping was surprised. I can't rule out that possibility. Because this time, the emperor stripped them of their power and made them guard the gate of Emperor Capital Mountain. They might be humiliated and despised by the emperor, which might really make them want to rebel. Especially Dong Hanzong. I know him too well. Faced with such a situation, he won't just sit there and wait for death. He'll definitely think of a way to turn things around. And now, the only way he can turn things around is to work with Qin Feiyang. Dong Tianqian said in a deep voice. If Qin Feiyang was here, he would definitely look at Dong Tianqian in a new light. This was because Dong Tianqian had accidentally discovered Dong Hanzong's rebellious intentions. Dong Ping looked at Dong Tianqian in a daze. This big brother of his was really daring. Although Dong Hanzong was ambitious, he wasn't that daring. Betraying the divine kingdom and the central dynasty was a dead end. No, it's not necessarily a dead end. You and I have both personally witnessed the methods of Qin Feiyang and the others. To be honest, in the future, it's still unknown who will win between the divine kingdom and the sky cloud realm. If I were Dong Hanzong, I might really choose to take a gamble, Dong Tianqian said. Hearing this, Dong Ping suddenly became nervous and said, Then should we tell 6th uncle? This, Dong Tianqian pondered for a moment and said, We have to be vigilant. We have to tell 6th uncle. Buzz. Suddenly, the divine sound stone rang. Dong Tianqian was stunned, took out the divine sound stone, looked down and frowned. What's wrong? Dong Ping was puzzled. It's Lu Yunfeng. Dong Tianqian took a deep breath, calmed down his inner emotions, and activated the divine sound stone. Immediately, Lu Jijin's shadow appeared. Dong Tianqian asked half-jokingly, Brother Lu, such a big thing happened in the imperial capital mountain. Why are you still sending me a message? Don't tell me you want me to help. You're really well informed. Lu Jijin shook his head and smiled, saying lightly, There's no need to help. His Majesty asked me to tell you that the trip to the secret realm will be brought forward. Gather at the imperial palace tomorrow morning. Brought forward. Dong Tianqian and Dong Ping looked at each other. Why is it brought forward? Is it related to the matter of Qin Feiyang killing the monarch and the other 2? Dong Ping asked. More or less. Lu Jijin nodded. Just now, I was speculating that such a big thing might be delayed, but I didn't expect it to be brought forward. His Majesty's mind is really hard to fathom. Dong Tianqian shook his head and smiled bitterly. This was something that he never expected. His Majesty's mind is not something that we can fathom. You guys get ready. See you at the Imperial Palace tomorrow. With that, Lu Jijin turned off the Divine Voice Stone. Dong Tianqian put away the Divine Voice Stone and frowned. Is this also within Qin Feiyang's expectation? Don't think too much. How can he be so amazing? Dong Ping snorted coldly. That's true. Dong Tianqian nodded, got up and said, You inform Dong Exen, I'll go look for Lord Father. We must bring the guardian artifact of our clan with us on the trip to the secret realm. Okay. Dong Ping nodded. However, before Dong Tianqian walked out of the door, the Divine Voice Stone rang again. Dong Tianqian was stunned. He looked down at the Divine Voice Stone again and his expression froze. Brother, judging from your expression, could it be? Dong Ping was surprised. Be confident, it's him. Dong Tianqian looked helpless. He activated the Divine Voice Stone and a shadow appeared. Who else could it be but Qin Feiyang? He's really persistent. Dong Ping pursed his lips. Don't speak so loudly, I'm not deaf. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He smiled and said, I'm sending you a message to remind you that you're going to the secret realm tomorrow morning. Don't forget to come to the valley to find me. What? How did you know so quickly that the trip to the secret realm was brought forward by a day? The two brothers looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. As long as I want to know, nothing can be hidden from me. Qin Feiyang laughed. The two brothers looked at each other with a wry smile on their faces. If they didn't know that there was someone called Mu Qing by Qin Feiyang's side, they would definitely suspect that someone must have tipped off Qin Feiyang. See you tomorrow morning. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. The shadow quickly dissipated. To hell with it. Dong Tianqian couldn't help cursing angrily. Ever since he was targeted by Qin Feiyang, he hadn't had a day of peace. The Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang also put away the Divine Voice Stone and looked up at the three people sitting across from him. These three people were the monarch, the Divine King, and Ji Zun. The three of them were drinking tea calmly. The Divine King laughed and said, To be honest, you've made a good move on Dong Tianqian and the other two. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was curious. The Divine King said, If you hadn't spared their lives back then, how could you have gotten so many spots to enter the secret realm today? That's true. Qin Feiyang suddenly smiled. Sometimes when facing an enemy, killing them directly might not be a good thing. Because no one could predict what would happen in the future. Maybe one day it would come in handy. An opportunity to step into a new realm. I'm really looking forward to it. The supreme being of the human race smiled. Yes, in the eyes of the Emperor, the secret realm is an opportunity to get rid of us. And in our eyes, isn't the secret realm also our hope to overthrow the central dynasty? Now let's see which one of us will get this opportunity and successfully step into a new realm. The monarch said. There's no need to think. It will definitely be us. Qin Feiyang smiled. Brat, don't be so confident, okay? Sometimes having more people doesn't mean anything. Maybe Princess Yuxian will be luckier than us and be the first to get the opportunity. The Divine King laughed and scolded. That doesn't matter. We'll get rid of her in the secret realm and steal her opportunity. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Such a murderous sentence, but it was said so casually. The three of them looked at each other and shook their heads with bitter smiles. It seemed that they were really old. Qin Feiyang drank his tea and pondered for a while. With a thought, four figures immediately appeared beside him. Greetings, young master. They were Pei Dason, Pei Hongyu, Pai Lupi, and Theta Wang. The four of them were now Qin Feiyang's right-hand men. Have a seat. Qin Feiyang smiled. This. Pei Dason looked at the three of them and smiled. Since the three of you are here, let's just stand and listen to the lesson. Who wants to teach you a lesson? Just sit when I tell you to. Qin Feiyang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I haven't even opened my mouth, and you already know that I want to teach you a lesson? Ha! The four of them laughed dryly and sat next to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang poured 4 cups of tea and handed them to the four of them. He asked, Have you heard about the secret realm? Secret realm? The four of them were stunned and looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Pai Lupi asked cautiously, "You don't want us to go in, do you?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. Why would this guy think that way? Isn't that so? Ha, you called us over and the first thing you talked about was the secret realm, so I thought you wanted us to go. Pai Lupi laughed dryly. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. No matter what, it won't be your turn. Because Pei Dason and the other three hadn't grasped the will of the heavenly Tao, they couldn't enter. Enough. Listen to me carefully. Tomorrow we will set off for the secret realm. Life and death are unpredictable. Therefore, I'll leave the matters of the Black Tortoise world to you, Qin Feiyong said. So you have something to tell us. The four of them nodded. Don't worry, the Black Tortoise world will remain the same in the future. There won't be any changes. No. How can there be no changes? The Black Tortoise world must become stronger. Especially the Holy Hall. When I return from the secret realm, I want to see the birth of at least 50,000 heavenly Tao powerhouses. If it doesn't happen, then it's your fault, Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. Qin Feiyong looked at the two of them and said, 50,000? The two of them looked at each other. Only the young master would dare to say such words. Why? No confidence. Qin Feiyong frowned. Yes, of course. You've prepared everything. If we can't do it, wouldn't we be worse than trash? The two of them immediately put down their teacups and said solemnly, That's right. But I'll say it again, talent is secondary to the Black Tortoise world's talent. Character is the most important. Qin Feiyong said. Understood. The two of them nodded. Qin Feiyong looked at Pei Hongyu and Pei Dason and said, The Black Tortoise world has a time array, and it's growing every day. The population is also multiplying, and the test for you is also very big, so you can't be careless because if you don't handle it well, it might cause chaos. The siblings nodded. They knew Qin Feiyong's wish, that the Black Tortoise world could continue to be peaceful. Therefore, they had always been very attentive in this aspect. One last point. The Yun family. If you find any descendants of the Yun family, relying on their relationship with us, bullying people and tyrannizing women in the Black Tortoise world, kill them all without mercy. Qin Feiyong said. Yes. The two of them bowed and replied. All right. That's all. You guys go ahead. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and smiled. The four of them looked at each other, looked at the teacups in front of them and laughed. Divine tea, we can't waste it. After saying that, the four of them picked up the teacups and drank it in one gulp. They even nodded and praised. Good tea. Then they got up and quickly left. If you like it, come to the tea garden and pick it yourself. But you can't pick all of it, you have to leave some for me. Qin Feiyong chuckled. Okay. The four of them laughed without turning their heads. Only when they were with Qin Feiyong did they truly understand what self-esteem was, what trust was. Qin Feiyong didn't treat them as outsiders at all. And freedom. Because when they were with Qin Feiyong, they didn't feel any sense of restraint. Unlike other big shots who usually had an arrogant and cold feeling that kept people 1,000 miles away. Chapter 4583. After watching the four of them leave, the king retracted his gaze and said with a smile, Now they are all very reliable people. Qin Feiyong nodded and picked up the teacup. Just as he was about to drink the tea, he suddenly thought of something and asked, Where are Dong Erlong and the 6 members of the Death God Legion? He had not seen the 7 of them since entering the Black Tortoise world. The Frenzy and the White-Eyed Wolf have been brought to the Soul-Sealing Valley. The king smiled. Brought to the Soul-Sealing Valley? Soul-Seal Valley is still suppressing the remnant souls of many demon kings and ferocious beasts. If we bring the 7 of them to Soul-Seal Valley, won't those demon kings and ferocious beasts know of our relationship with cousin mental demon Day? I'm going to release these monster kings and beasts to anger the Emperor, Kuimpeng, and the Dragon God. Qin Feiyong frowned. Why are you still so childish when you're so old? Is it necessary to anger them? The 3 smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyong laughed dryly and asked, Did Dong Erlong and the others see you in the Devil's Land? Yes. The 3 nodded. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with killing intent. It doesn't matter. Didn't you say that when we return from the secret realm, we might start a full-scale war with the Central Dynasty? Moreover, Dong Erlong and the others are controlled by Long Chen's soul-controlling technique. They can't do anything. The king smiled faintly. Control? Why do you want to control them? Qin Feiyong was puzzled. This is Long Chen's idea. He said that you need to understand a person to be able to disguise yourself better. So when we were in the Black Tortoise world, he controlled the 7 of them and roughly understood their situation. The king said, sure enough, it's his style. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. After pondering for a moment, he said, it's not certain that we will start a war when we come back. After all, who can predict the future? After saying that, he picked up the teacup, took a sip of tea, and continued, regardless of whether Dong Erlong and the others are under control or not, the monster kings and ferocious beasts suppressed in the Soul Sealing Valley cannot be left alive. As his voice fell above the Soul Seal Valley, a series of rule force descended from the sky and surged towards the Soul Seal Valley. At this moment, the White-Eyed Wolf and Madman just happened to bring Dong Erlong's group of 7 to Soul Sealing Valley. Looking at the rule force that suddenly descended, the two's faces changed drastically, and they immediately retreated. Isn't that Dong Erlong? I have some impression of him. He is Princess Yuxian's bodyguard. Why was he brought to Soul Sealing Valley? Could it be that he has also been captured? Soul Sealing Valley. The demon monarchs looked at Dong Erlong with bewilderment. However, in the next moment, as the rule force descended, whether it was the demon monarchs or the ferocious beasts in the Sky Dragon Mountain range, they all felt a great sense of crisis. This seems to be the rule force. Why would the rule force descend? Madman Emo, Golden Winged Wolf King, what are you guys doing? They all thought that it was Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf who were controlling the rule force. Little did they know, Madman and the White-Eyed Wolf did not have this authority at all. In the entire Black Tortoise world, only Qin Feiyong and the Fire Lotus could control the rule force. As for the origin force, there was no need to talk about it. Apart from little brats, no one could control it. What does it have to do with us? Madman pursed his lips and looked up at the rule force that was surging towards them. He already had an answer in his heart. This must be Qin Feiyong's masterpiece. He did not want to keep these demon monarchs and ferocious beasts. But to be honest, these demon monarchs and ferocious beasts were indeed of no value to keep, because their ultimate mysteries had already been taken away. At most, they could only be released to anger the Emperor and the others. This is coming for us. Don't kill us. I don't want to die yet. Looking at the rule force that was rapidly approaching, the demon monarchs and thousands of ferocious beasts roared in horror. They are really courageous. If it was anyone else in the Soul Sealing Valley, they would have already taken the initiative to ask for death. But these guys are still begging for mercy. The White-Eyed Wolf laughed involuntarily. It seemed that most of the living beings in the Central Dynasty were afraid of death. But their begging for mercy was of no use. The White-Eyed Wolf and Madman watched coldly from the sidelines. Boom! The rule force descended and instantly drowned the entire Soul Sealing Valley. And there was no eruption of terrifying fluctuations. But all the remnant souls were turned into ashes in an instant. Looking at this scene, Dong Erlong's group of 7 were scared out of their wits. There were hundreds of monster kings and countless ferocious beasts in the Sky Dragon Mountain range. However, all of them were killed in an instant. Was he trying to give them a show of strength? Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental? As soon as they arrived at the Soul Sealing Valley, Qin Feiyong killed the remnant souls in the Soul Sealing Valley? Don't think too much. Just a few pieces of trash like you are not worthy of us spending so much effort to show our strength. Madman smiled disdainfully. You, the 7 of them glared at Madman. Don't jump. In front of us, the higher you jump, the more miserable your death will be. Madman waved his hand and directly suppressed the 7 of them into the Soul Sealing Valley. The pungent stench almost made them faint on the spot. This was simply hell on earth. 10,000 years in the Mystic Realm is more than 18 billion years in the Black Tortoise Realm. Enjoy yourselves. Madman laughed loudly and turned to leave with the White-Eyed Wolf. More than 18 billion years. The 7 of them were stunned. Not to mention a place like this, even if they were in a paradise on Earth over 18 billion years, they would slowly grow tired of it. Just kill us. Dong Erlong stared at the back of the 2 and roared. However, Even when the two figures completely disappeared from his sight, no one responded to him. Devil's Land. Why did you suddenly kill them all? Madman and Madman returned and looked at Qin Feiyang, who was sitting in front of the stone table in puzzlement. There is no point in keeping them. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Who said so? You can also tease them when you have nothing to do. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Do you think you are teasing dogs? Teasing them when you have nothing to do. Da-da. This time, accompanied by the sound of footsteps, a woman in a long dress quickly walked over. It was Dong Qin. When Dong Qin arrived at the tea garden, she glanced at the monarch and the other two, then glanced at the madman and the ingrate. Finally, she looked at Qin Feiyang and put on a hesitant expression. What's the situation? Several people's faces were full of suspicion. The white-eyed wolf was speechless. Hey, if you have something to say, just say it. Aren't you tired of being hesitant? Dong Qin smiled embarrassedly and said, Aren't we going to the secret realm soon? So I want a few strands of origin force to carry with me in case of an emergency. So it's about this. The white-eyed wolf suddenly nodded and frowned. Even if we enter the secret realm, we will be together. Is there a need to give you the origin force alone? He said so much, but in fact, he was reluctant to do so. What if we are separated? After all, the danger of the secret realm is beyond our imagination. Anything can happen. Dong Qin said worriedly. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. He hadn't thought about it yet. Now that he heard Dong Qin say so, it was indeed necessary. Because it was better to be safe than sorry. It was always right to prepare in advance. How about this? Qin Feiyang turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and said, Anyway, we have a lot of origin force now. Why don't we give each person 1,000 strands of origin force when entering the secret realm this time? So much? The white-eyed wolf's expression froze. 16 people, that was a total of 16,000 strands of origin force. This was simply extravagant. Is the origin force more important or everyone's life more important? Also, don't forget. These strands of origin force were snatched by everyone together. They belong to everyone here, not just you alone. The madman's face darkened. This wolf cub was too shameless. He really treated these strands of origin force as his personal belongings. The white-eyed wolf looked quite embarrassed and laughed dryly. Still leave me some face. The madman was speechless. You've already displayed the spirit of shamelessness to an unprecedented level, so what's the point of having a face? Okay. 1,000 strands it is. The white-eyed wolf looked very generous and took out 5,000 strands of origin force. Dong Qin took away 1,000 strands. The madman, the king, the divine kingdom, and Jizun also took away 1,000 strands. With these 1,000 strands of origin force, their confidence increased a lot. What about me? Qin Feiyang looked at the void in a daze. Shouldn't there be 6,000 strands of origin force? Why are there only 5,000 strands? You don't need it. Anyway, your strength is already strong enough. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. The veins on Qin Feiyang's forehead suddenly bulged as he said angrily, Give it to me immediately, or you can forget about keeping it. Fine, I'll give it to you. Why are you being so fierce? Isn't it just 1,000 strands? This brother doesn't take it to heart. The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. Although he said so, when he took out the 1,000 strands of origin force, his face was full of reluctance. Give it to me. Qin Feiyang took away the origin force, then looked at the white-eyed wolf and rolled his eyes. What kind of world is this? He worked so hard to get more than 400,000 strands of origin force, and now he only needed 1,000 strands, and he still had to look at the white-eyed wolf's face? Dong Qin watched the whole process and couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. You guys continue to chat. After saying that, she turned and left. Qin Feiyang put away the origin force and picked up the teacup, but just as he put it to his mouth, his expression suddenly froze, and he looked at Dong Qin and said, Wait a minute. Huh? Dong Qin stopped and turned to look at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. This, Qin Feiyang asked with a guilty conscience. Did you say that you want to go to the secret realm? Huh? Dong Qin was stunned. Could this person have a fever? Otherwise, why would he ask such a question? From the beginning, she had said that she wanted to go to the secret realm. Because she wanted to surpass Dong Hanzong and avenge her father. Wait. Dong Qin suddenly quivered, looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Don't tell me that you didn't plan to get my quota?" Cough cough. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly, and his expression was very unnatural. The frenzy, the white-eyed wolf, and the monarch all looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Did he really not plan to get Dong Qin's quota? Qin Feiyang. Dong Qin suddenly gritted her teeth and ran a few steps to Qin Feiyang's side. Her face was full of anger. Don't be impulsive, listen to my explanation. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. This matter really couldn't be blamed on him. Because in the beginning, he did plan to get Dong Qin's quota. He had always kept it in mind. But later, the mermaid princess also wanted to enter the secret realm, which distracted him a little. After that, Fire Dance also wanted to enter the secret realm. He also had to make arrangements for the monarch and the other two. Due to this series of events, he had carelessly neglected Dong Qin. Chapter 4584. Therefore, this matter was really not his fault. With a lot of things coming together, it was inevitable that something would be left out. The white-eyed wolf gritted his teeth and said, "Why don't you not go? Stay in the black tortoise world and cultivate freely. It's actually quite good." "Quite good. Then you stay in the black tortoise world. I'll go for you." Dong Qin's face darkened. How could there be such an unreliable person? She had already made all the preparations and even shamelessly came over to ask for the origin power. But in the end, since there was no plan to give her a spot, wasn't this torturing her? Cough cough. I'd better go. After all, the origin power is with me. If they encounter any danger, how can they survive without me? The white-eyed wolf laughed dryly. It's fine. You can give me the origin power, or give it to Qin Feiyang and the madman, Dong Qin said. The white-eyed wolf's mouth twitched. Seeing that he couldn't win against Dong Qin, he pointed his spear at Qin Feiyang and said angrily, "What's wrong with you? Although Dong Qin is an outsider, she's already following us, so we're family. How can you not value her?" "That's right. Am I so unworthy of your attention?" Dong Qin nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman, asking, "Don't cause trouble." Qin Feiyang and the madman's faces were dark. Typical sowing discord, wishing for the world to be in chaos. The divine king pondered for a moment and said, "How about this, give my spot to her?" Huh? Qin Feiyang looked at the divine king. He never expected that the divine king would take the initiative to give up this spot. The divine king shook his head and said, "The spots have already been planned. Now that this suddenly happened, one of us must withdraw." "Don't worry." Qin Feiyang comforted the divine king and lowered his head. The divine king faked his death to enter the secret realm. How could he let her withdraw? "Why don't I quit? In any case, if the heavenly lord wants to enter the mystic realm, we only need one person from the purple gold divine dragon race to enter." The king suddenly spoke. The autarch of the human race looked at the monarch and the divine king in astonishment. "Why are you looking at us like that?" The two of them were puzzled. The supreme being of the human race asked in a strange tone, "Are you really the monarch and the divine king that I know?" Ah! The two of them were suspicious. What was the meaning of this old thing's words? The supreme being of the human race smiled. "The monarch and the divine king I knew in the past would never be so modest." Ugh! The two of them were stunned. Then they couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Don't people change? But you guys have changed so much that I can't believe it." Jizun chuckled. "What do you mean? So in your eyes we were all selfish people in the past?" The divine king looked displeased. "I didn't say that." Jizun waved his hand and smiled. "That's what you mean." The divine king's face darkened. It wasn't easy for him to be modest, but he was still suspected. How ridiculous. "Anyway, I don't care. You have to help me get this quota." Dong Qin snorted coldly and didn't leave. She sat directly opposite Qin Feiyang and kept staring at Qin Feiyang, as if saying, "If you don't help me get this quota, I'll keep staring at you." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. This time he was indeed a little careless. However, it wasn't that there was no solution. After pondering for a while, He took out the Divine Sound Stone. Buzz! As the Divine Sound Stone was activated, it bloomed with a hazy light. The madman and the others couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Who was he sending a message to? A moment passed. The Divine Sound Stone didn't get a response. Qin Feiyong wasn't in a hurry. He put the Divine Sound Stone on the table in front of him and waited silently. What is he doing? The white-eyed wolf asked in a low voice. I don't know. The madman shook his head. Time passed by quietly. About half an hour passed. Suddenly, the Divine Sound Stone on the table suddenly vibrated. It emitted a dazzling light. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly and picked up the Divine Sound Stone. As the Divine Sound Stone woke up, a shadow appeared. This person was Dong Erlong. But it wasn't the real Dong Erlong but Long Chun. As soon as Long Chun appeared, he looked at Qin Feiyong and teased, "It hasn't been long since we parted, and you sent me a message. Is it necessary to miss me so much?" Qin Feiyong looked at Long Chun in astonishment. This guy has learned to joke? Appropriate jokes can make the mood happy. Long Chun laughed and asked, "What's the matter?" Qin Feiyong smiled awkwardly and briefly explained Dong Qin's situation. This. Heard about it. Long Chun was also stunned. Dong Qin could be said to be the first to say that she wanted to enter the secret realm, but she was forgotten. Dong Qin was probably very depressed in her heart now. Qin Feiyong smiled awkwardly. "So I sent you a message to ask you to help me think of a way to lure Dong Sanlong or Dong Dalong out of Emperor Capital Mountain." Dong Dalong, Dong Sanlong. Long Chun pondered for a while and frowned. If it was in the past, it would be easy, but now such a big thing has just happened, and the Emperor even ordered everyone not to leave Emperor Capital Mountain. I'm afraid it's a bit difficult to lure them out now. No matter how difficult it is, I believe it's nothing for you. Qin Feiyong smiled. You really know how to say nice things. Long Chun shook his head and smiled. After thinking for a moment he said, I really have a way which may work. What way? Qin Feiyong was curious. At that time I controlled Dong Erlong and knew a little about the three brothers. So, it's not difficult to target them. I won't go into the details. Just wait for my news. After saying that, Long Chun turned off the voice transmission stone, then got up and walked to the door. He took a deep breath and opened the door. What entered his sight was a lake. The lake covered an area of a few miles. The lake water was as clear as a mirror, reflecting the sky. From time to time, multicolored fish would leap out of the lake, splashing up waves. All around, the scenery was beautiful, with clouds lingering around. It made this place look like a fairyland. Long Chen's residence was Dong Erlong's courtyard. It was not big, but it was clean, tidy, and quiet. There were two other courtyards next to it. These two courtyards were the residences of Dong Dalong and Dong Sanlong. On the opposite side of the lake, there was a magnificent palace. It was dozens of feet tall, inlaid with gold and silver, and looked extremely luxurious. That was Princess Yuxian's bedroom. Long Chun walked out of the courtyard and looked at the bedroom on the opposite side of the lake. A glint flashed in his eyes, then he looked at the courtyard on the left. The three brothers' courtyards were side by side, with a distance of about 10 meters between them. Long Chun was now looking at Dong Sanlong's courtyard. Lu Jiajin seemed to have said that Dong Sanlong was a bit of a loner, so it would be easier to disguise him. Why not use him? Third brother. Long Chun walked over with a gloomy look on his face. This was Dong Erlong's image. No matter who he was facing, he would always be like this. He was a person full of hostility. After a while, a man in black walked out. This man was about 1.8 meters tall with a thin body. His face was cold, and his eyes were as sharp as a blade. Second brother. This man was Dong Sanlong. Even in front of his second brother, Dong Sanlong did not say anything extra. He was indeed a man of few words. No, it should be said that he was a man of few words. Long Chun sighed deeply with a trace of sadness on his face. He looked up into the distance and said, Third brother, I want to go back and take a look. Go back? Dong Sanlong was stunned. Yes. This time, Her Highness suddenly said that she would take us to a place, but Her Highness did not say a word about where it was. It's the first time I've seen Her Highness so secretive about us. So I'm thinking that the place we're about to go may not be ordinary. I even have a hunch that it may not bode well for us this time. So while there's still time, I want to go back and pay my respects to my parents. Do you want to go back with me? Since you were a child, father and mother loved you more than me and big brother. I think if you don't go back, father and mother will blame you in heaven. Longchan said faintly. Dong Sanlong said awkwardly. But Her Highness told us not to leave Emperor Capital Mountain before? We'll come back after paying our respects. What are you afraid of? Besides, we are not big shots like the monarch. How can we be targeted by Qin Feiyang? Longchen said. This? Dong Sanlong looked at Dong Dalong's yard hesitantly. Longchen said, I've already asked Big Brother for permission, and he agreed. Won't Big Brother go back? Dong Sanlong was suspicious. Big Brother seems to be busy with something, so he asked us to pay our respects on his behalf. Don't be long-winded. Hurry up and come back early. After saying that, Longchan pulled Dong Sanlong into the air and flew toward the gate of Emperor Capital Mountain. If he delayed any longer, if Dong Dalong ran out, wouldn't his lie be exposed? As he didn't ask Dong Dalong at all. But also at this time, the door of another yard opened, and a middle-aged man in white walked out. This man was about 1.78 meters tall. He was dressed in white and was neither fat nor thin. His two thick eyebrows seemed to have been trimmed, and his whole person exuded an air of elegance. At first glance, he looked like a gentle scholar. This man was Dong Dalong. As soon as Dong Dalong came out, he looked up and saw the backs of Longchan and Dong Sanlong leaving. He couldn't help but be stunned, and a trace of suspicion crept into his eyes. Second brother, third brother. Just as he was about to call out to the two of them, a voice suddenly came from the other side's palace. Dalong, come here for a moment. This voice belonged to Princess Yuxian. Dong Dalong heard Princess Yuxian's voice and looked at Longchan and Dong Sanlong. The two of them had already disappeared at the end of the mountain without looking back. What are these two guys up to behind my back? Dong Dalong muttered. Then looked at the opposite palace and said, Yes, I'll go right away. After saying that, he took a step forward and landed in front of the opposite palace like lightning. Chapter 4585. Your Highness. Dong Dalong looked at the tightly shut door and bowed. Come in. Princess Moon Fairy's voice sounded from inside. As her voice fell, the door slowly opened. Dong Dalong walked into the main hall, and saw Princess Moon Fairy sitting alone in the side hall. There was a pot of tea in front of her, and the fragrance of the tea filled the room. Come and sit. Princess Moon Fairy raised her head and looked at Dong Dalong with a smile. Dong Dalong quickly walked in front of Princess Moon Fairy, but he did not sit down. He bowed and said, Your Highness, please tell me what you need. It's nothing much. I just want to tell you a few things. First of all, you three brothers must bring enough resources with you when you go out with me, especially your sovereign weapons. You must bring them with you. Second, if you have any unfulfilled wishes, you should go while there's still time. Third, you three brothers should go back and pay your respects to your parents, Princess Moon Fairy said. This? Dong Dalong's expression turned serious. He asked carefully, Your Highness, will this trip be dangerous? Why don't you think about what level of cultivation we are? For example, you three brothers have already grasped all the ultimate profound. In our central dynasty, you're already at the pinnacle of the pyramid. So, if you're going to train, how can it not be dangerous? Princess Moon Fairy shook her head. Dong Dalong nodded. What she said made sense. But what kind of place was it? Why did His Highness always have such a secretive attitude? Don't be too nervous. I'm just taking precautions. If anything happens, I won't regret it for the rest of my life. Princess Moon Fairy comforted. She did not want to scare Dong Dalong before entering the secret realm. I'm not afraid. It's my honor to die for Your Highness. But I'm worried about Your Highness' safety. Since this place is so dangerous, why don't Your Highness stay in the Imperial Capital Mountain and let us go? Dong Dalong said. It could be seen that he was really loyal to Princess Moon Fairy. What are you talking about? This time I'm going to train. You three brothers are only accompanying me to train. In other words, you're my sparring partners. How could I not go? Princess Moon Fairy shook her head. No matter how dangerous the mystic realm was, she had to go there. Because her parents had been there. Her grandparents had also been there. Her grandfather had even succeeded in finding a miracle to step into a new realm in the arcane realm. Therefore she had to go too. This was not only to deal with Qin Feiyang and the others, but also to protect the dignity and honor of being a descendant of the royal family. If others were to find out that she, the dignified princess of the Central Dynasty, actually didn't even dare to enter a secret realm, then wouldn't she become a laughingstock and lose all face? I see. Dong Dalong came to a sudden realization. He bowed and said, "Then please rest assured, Your Highness. The three of us brothers will definitely protect Your Highness with our lives. I know your loyalty. Go." Princess Moon Fairy waved her hand. "Your subordinate will take his leave." Dong Dalong bowed, then turned around and left quickly. Walking out of the main hall, Dong Dalong stood by the lakeside and looked in the direction where Long Chan and Dong Sanlong had disappeared. He frowned and said, "Where did those two guys go? You're still in the mood to run around at a time like this?" An unfulfilled wish. What unfulfilled wish could I have? No, I have. If this training really bodes ill rather than well, I really should go and see her. Dong Dalong muttered as a gentle light flashed in his eyes. He then soared into the sky and disappeared like lightning. At the same time, Long Chan and Dong Sanlong had already arrived at the gate of Imperial Capital Mountain. "You guys are going out too?" Dong Qingyuan looked at the two of them and immediately frowned. Dong Sanlong directly ignored him, walked out of Imperial Capital Mountain, and opened a space-time tunnel. Still as cold as ever, Dong Qingyuan smiled bitterly. Of course, he was no stranger to Dong Sanlong and had long been used to it. "Both of you have worked hard." Long Chan pretended to be concerned. "Yes, it has been hard." The key point was that Dong Hanzong even continued. He didn't like the inner demons in Lu Jijin very much. But he didn't dare to neglect Dong Erlong and his brothers. Because these three brothers were the personal guards of Princess Moon Fairy. As long as he could build a good relationship with these three brothers, it would be much easier to get close to Princess Moon Fairy. Long Chun was stunned. He really didn't expect Dong Hanzong to continue with this sentence. "We have embarrassed ourselves in front of Brother Erlong." "Brother Erlong, you see, we have always been good friends. Why don't you put in a good word for us in front of Her Highness?" Dong Hanzong said with a fawning face. He didn't know that Dong Erlong in front of him was the enemy he had always hated. Long Chun was puzzled. "It was His Majesty who asked you to guard the gate. You should go to His Majesty now. What's the point of looking for Her Highness?" "Of course. Her Highness is the apple of His Majesty's eye. As long as Your Highness can help us, His Majesty will definitely let us go," Dong Hanzong said. "That's true. All right, I'll talk to Her Highness when I have time. But I can't guarantee whether Her Highness will help us or not. I'm only responsible for passing the message." Long Chun smiled slightly. "Thank you, Brother Erlong." Dong Hanzong was overjoyed. Dong Qingyuan was also full of smiles. With someone helping them, although the hope was slim, it was better than no help at all. "All right, I'll go first." Long Chun waved his hand and turned to leave. "You two be careful," Dong Qingyuan warned. Long Chun smiled faintly and walked to Dong Sanlong's side. Dong Sanlong glanced at Long Chun and said unhappily, "Why are you talking so much nonsense with them? What's wrong?" Long Chun looked at him suspiciously. "Neither of these two are good people." Dong Sanlong said coldly and stepped into the space-time passage. Long Chun was stunned and couldn't help but purse the corners of his mouth. It seemed that not only them, but also many people on Imperial Capital Mountain couldn't stand the way Dong Qingyuan and Long Chun acted. Then, he also stepped into the space-time passage. The next moment, the two landed in the sky above a mountain. The mountains rose and fell majestically like huge dragons. In the mountains, the grass and trees were green and the rivers were surging. Long Chun silently followed behind Dong Sanlong and flew to a forest. Although he knew some things about the three brothers, he definitely didn't know about the small things like the cemetery and the cemetery. About 10 breaths passed. The two landed in front of a small stream. Not far from the stream there was a cemetery. There were not only 2 tombs but hundreds of tombs. A sense of desolation could be felt from afar. So many. Long Chun muttered. It was a little unexpected. Dong Sanlong looked at the cemetery and a trace of sadness crept up his face. After a long time he stepped forward and walked toward the cemetery. Long Chun glanced around and saw that there were no traces of fierce beasts around. He strode forward and caught up with Dong Sanlong in a few steps. He smiled and said, "Third brother, do you want to accompany them?" Huh. Dong Sanlong was stunned and turned his head to look at Long Chun suspiciously. But just as he turned around, Long Chun raised his arm and slapped Dong Sanlong's back. Dong Sanlong spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and his face instantly turned pale. His chi-si was directly shattered. "Second brother, what are you doing?" Dong Sanlong held his bleeding wound and looked at Long Chun in surprise. Long Chun smiled faintly and looked at Dong Sanlong. He said, "Come out." Obviously, this sentence was not directed at Dong Sanlong. Clang! Accompanied by a loud sound, a broadsword appeared. The blade was 3 meters long and as wide as an adult's palm. It was pitch black and engraved with ferocious skull patterns. This was Dong Sanlong's high-grade sovereign divine weapon, Skeletal Demon Blade. The skeletal demon blade floated in front of Dong Sanlong and released a divine aura to protect him. It used its divine sense to spy on Long Chun and suddenly said, "You're not Dong Erlong. Who are you?" Long Chun said in surprise, "You saw through my identity so quickly? Even though you've concealed it well, I can still faintly feel a trace of dragon's might from the aura you've released. So, not only are you not Dong Erlong, but you're also not human." The skeletal demon blade said in a deep voice, "It seems that I can't easily release my aura. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, as long as I successfully enter the secret realm, even if my identity is exposed, it doesn't matter." Long Chun smiled faintly and took out the divine sound transmission stone as if there was no one else around. He sent a message to Qin Feiyang. "If you're not second brother, who are you? Where's my second brother?" Dong Sanlong finally reacted and stared at Long Chun angrily. His body was overflowing with anger. "Quiet." Long Chun made a silent gesture. Buzz. As his voice fell, the divine sound transmission stone shone brightly and a shadow appeared. Qin Feiyang. Dong Sanlong's expression changed. The skeletal demon blade was also shocked and roared, "Run!" Immediately, it rolled up Dong Sanlong and wanted to escape, but at the same time, Long Chun smiled faintly and opened his god's domain. In an instant it merged with heaven and earth. Following that, the terrifying rule force surged from all directions like a tide and rushed toward the skeletal demon blade and Dong Sanlong. "Controlling the rule force, are you?" Dong Sanlong was shocked. "Don't be noisy." Long Chun glanced at him and then looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. "It's done, come here." After that, Long Chun gave the coordinates of this place to Qin Feiyang. Right away, Qin Feiyang smiled and the shadow dissipated. "Long Chun, how could it be you? What did you do to my second brother? Where is my second brother?" Dong Sanlong roared, bristling with anger. "They say that you're a man of few words, but now it seems that you actually have a lot to say." Long Chun said indifferently and ignored Dong Sanlong. He looked at the skeletal demon blade and said with a faint smile, "I'll give you a choice, just like the skeletal magic sword. Submit to me or be destroyed." "What? The skeletal magic sword has already submitted to you." The skeletal demon blade was shocked. "That's right, it just submitted not long ago." Long Chun nodded. "Did you subdue it on Emperor Capital Mountain? But why didn't we hear anything before?" One had to know. The skeletal magic sword was also a superior dominator divine weapon. How could it be subdued silently? Chapter 4586. Are you an idiot? How can I subdue it on Emperor Capital Mountain? I will definitely find an opportunity to bring it to the spatial artifact. Long Chun looked at the demonic skeleton blade with disdain. How could a high-grade sovereign weapon not understand such simple logic? The demonic skeleton blade was infuriated. It felt that its intelligence had been crushed. Buzz. At this moment, a space-time tunnel appeared. Qin Feiyang stepped out of the tunnel and glanced around. When he saw Dong Sanlong and the demonic skeleton blade, a smile appeared on his face. He then landed beside Long Chun. Qin Feiyang's arrival made the demonic skeleton blade and Dong Sanlong feel even more desperate. Who in the Central Dynasty didn't know about Qin Feiyang's methods? Not to mention a high-grade sovereign weapon, even a peak or legendary sovereign weapon wouldn't pose any threat to him. For a moment, they fell into the abyss of fear. Still not subdued, Qin Feiyang looked at the demonic skeleton blade and saw that it was still protecting Dong Sanlong. I am giving it time to consider. Long Chun smiled faintly. Consider? How can I give it time to consider? In short, are you going to submit or not? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. I submit. Before he finished speaking, the demonic skeleton blade roared. Even its voice was trembling. It could be seen how scared it was at this moment. Long Chun was stunned. As soon as Qin Feiyang spoke, it chose to submit without hesitation. It was giving Qin Feiyang too much face. It seems that your deterrence is greater. Long Chun shook his head and laughed. Don't joke around. Go and ask the emperor, who is the biggest threat to him between the two of us? Perhaps. Qin Feiyang's combat power was stronger than Long Chen's. After all, Long Chun only had one trump card, God's domain. As for Qin Feiyang, not only did he have 3,000 incarnations, but he also had the law of life and death, eye of heaven and dual will of heaven. But, in terms of threats to the world, Long Chun was undoubtedly one of them. This was because his domain of divinity could control rule force. In fact, back in the Black Tortoise world, he had almost been able to control the origin energy. Even Little Wimp wanted to kill Long Chun at that time. One could imagine how much of a threat the realm of gods posed to a world. If you insist on saying that, then I have nothing to say. Long Chun shrugged helplessly. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the demonic skull blade, saying indifferently, make a blood oath. Not daring to hesitate, Skeleton Demon Blade immediately swore a blood oath. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then waved his hand, and the paragon of the human race appeared. Sovereign of the human race. Dong Sanlong's eyes widened. What was going on? Hadn't the supreme master of the human race already fallen? Why would it appear in Qin Feiyang's Black Tortoise realm? At the same time, Skeleton Demon Blade was also very surprised. A person who had already died suddenly ran out alive and kicking. If it wasn't for the fact that it was broad daylight, he would probably think that he had bumped into a ghost. Senior, you are pretending to be Dong Sanlong. Skeleton Demon Blade, you will follow Sovereign first. If you dare to disobey, I will not be merciful. Qin Feiyang looked at Skeleton Demon Blade, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Yes. Skeleton Demon Blade hurriedly responded respectfully. Be careful. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Chun and Sovereign and reminded them. Then he rushed in front of Dong Sanlong, grabbed Dong Sanlong, opened a space-time passage and prepared to leave. But suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and transmitted his voice. White-eyed wolf, give me 9,000 strands of origin energy. What the hell? Why do you need 9,000 strands of origin energy? Long Chun and the others only have 7 people. You want to fill your pockets? White-eyed wolf said angrily. Do you believe that I will teach you a lesson? Don't the inner demons and big cousin count? Qin Feiyang's face was dark. Them? Why do you care about them? They are now the emperor's right-hand men. If they go to the secret realm, the emperor will not care about their life and death. White-eyed wolf laughed dryly. What he meant was that the emperor may also give the inner demons and Lu Jijin some origin energy to protect themselves. Stop talking nonsense. The emperor is the emperor, we are us. Hurry up, don't waste time. Qin Feiyang was in a very depressed mood now. This damned wolf cub was like a miser, stingy and stingy. It was obviously their common property, but this bastard shamelessly held it in his hands. When they needed it, they had to put in a good word for this bastard. How could they not be depressed in such a situation? After dawdling for a while, White-eyed wolf finally took out 9,000 strands of origin energy. Qin Feiyang handed all these strands of origin energy to Long Chun. Ah! Long Chun looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. What did he mean? We have discussed before that everyone who enters the secret realm this time will have 1,000 strands of origin energy to protect themselves. You help me give it to Big Cousin and Mu Qing. Qin Feiyang said. I see. Long Chun nodded and said with a smile, then I will accept it. Long Chan did not dare to be careless in such a dangerous place like the secret realm. If he really lost his life, he would not even have a place to cry. Okay, see you tomorrow morning on Emperor Capital Mountain. Qin Feiyang smiled and grabbed Dong Sanlong, turned around and entered the space-time tunnel. Soon they disappeared without a trace. Fortunately, we have Qin Feiyang. Otherwise, with the strength of our three major races, we would not be able to compete with the Central Dynasty. Looking at the space-time tunnel that disappeared, the human clan supreme being shook his head and smiled. Then, he took out a disguise pill and changed into Dong Sanlong's appearance. Long Chan asked with a smile, the strength of your three major races should be not bad now, right? After giving so many ultimate profound inheritances to the three major races, and so much time had passed, there must be many will of the heavens experts now. Not bad. The human clan supreme being chuckled and cleared his throat. At this moment, his voice was exactly the same as Dong Erlong's voice. How much is not bad? Long Chun was curious. I am not sure about the God clan and the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, but the human clan has now produced more than 500 will of the heavens experts. The human clan supreme being said. Sure enough, it is fast to have a foundation. Long Chun was speechless. The human clan of the West Continent had a strong foundation. There were plenty of people who had mastered 4 ultimate profundities of ultimate laws or 5 ultimate profundities of ultimate laws. And these people only needed to integrate 1 or 2 ultimate profound laws to master the will of the heavens. Naturally, they were faster than the people of the Black Tortoise world. After all, the people of the Black Tortoise world had to start from scratch. Even the disciples of the Black Tortoise world had not stepped into the sovereign realm before. If the foundation of the Black Tortoise world was comparable to the human clan of the West Continent, there must be at least 1 or 2,000 will of the heavens experts in the Black Tortoise world, because they had enough inheritances in their hands. The current situation is getting better and better for us. We are only 1 step away. I hope this trip to the secret territory will bring us some benefits. The human clan supreme being chuckled. We will. Long Chun nodded, full of confidence. The human clan supreme being was slightly stunned, as expected of one of the most outstanding youths of this generation. This kind of confidence was unmatched. He cupped his hands and smiled. Then I will leave it to little brother Long Chun. Please take care of me in the future. Look at what you're saying. Long Chun shook his head and laughed. Buzz. Suddenly, in the sky, another space-time passage appeared. Long Chun and the Supreme Being looked up, with a trace of surprise in their eyes. Who would come here? The human clan Supreme Being was suspicious. Long Chen's eyes flashed and he whispered, except for the 3 Dong Dalong brothers, no one else would come here. It should be Dong Dalong. After saying that, with a wave of his hand, he erased Qin Feiyang's remaining aura. The human clan Supreme Being also hurriedly put away the skeleton demon blade. Buzz. The next moment, an elegant middle-aged man walked out of the space-time passage. Is it Dong Dalong? The human clan Supreme Being asked. Yes, it's him. Long Chun secretly said. When Dong Dalong came out, he looked at Long Chun and the Supreme Being, and his expression was slightly stunned. I thought you guys went somewhere to fool around. Turns out that you are here. Aren't we going to follow His Highness to train soon? So I thought of coming back to pay my respects. Long Chun smiled and said suspiciously, Big brother, why are you here too? I also came back to pay my respects. The Eastern Continent glanced at the cemetery, and his expression was a little gloomy. Then he frowned and said, But why didn't you tell me that you too came back? If Dong Erlong was here, this would immediately be exposed. But now, Dong Erlong, who was standing in front of Dong Dalong, was the human clan Supreme Being. Of course he could say whatever he wanted. Isn't it because you are busy? We will pay our respects for you, Long Chun said. I didn't plan to come back. Dong Dalong shook his head and landed in front of the two. He glanced around and said in surprise, What's going on? Why are there traces of battle? When I came just now, there was a group of fierce beasts wandering around here, so I chased them away. Long Chun answered fluently. Damned beasts, how dare you come here? You should just slaughter them. A ferocious look flashed across Dong Dalong's face, and then he walked toward the cemetery. Long Chun and Long Chun looked at each other and followed slowly. It's going to be very dangerous this time. Dong Dalong sighed. Dangerous? What do you mean? Long Chun was suspicious. Dong Dalong said just now Her Highness found me and said a lot of things to me. On the other side. In the valley. After Qin Feiyong arrived at the valley, he took Dong Sanlong into the Black Tortoise realm and took away Dong Sanlong's divine voice-transmitting stone and interspatial ring. My lord the Divine King, looking at the Lord and the Divine King sitting in the tea garden and drinking tea, Dong Sanlong's eyes suddenly widened. The human clan supreme being was not dead, and now the Lord and the Divine King were also not dead? What was going on? Until now you still don't understand? Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile. Dong Erlong pondered for a while and suddenly seemed to think of something. He looked at them in horror. The Lord, the Divine King, and the Supreme Being had surrendered to Qin Feiyong? So the death of the Lord and the other two was purely a show to enter the secret realm and fake their deaths? Is it done? At this time, Dong Qin ran over and asked Qin Feiyong. Dong Qin? Dong Erlong looked at Dong Qin in surprise. Was he seeing things? He thought that Dong Qin had died in the hands of Qin Feiyong. But now she ran out alive and well and got along so well with Qin Feiyong and the others. Chapter 4587. Don't make a fuss, it's annoying. Dong Qin glared at him, then looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, Is it done or not? Dong Sanlong is here, do you think it's done or not? Qin Feiyong was speechless. Dong Qin was stunned and said with a smile, My mind is a little messy, I didn't notice. Don't worry. I definitely won't forget you. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. Still won't? Didn't you forget me before? Dong Qin rolled her eyes. Wasn't this a slap in the face? Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched. This woman was not easy to deal with. Dong Sanlong couldn't help but ask in surprise, Dong Qin, don't tell me you're also in cahoots with them. What do you mean by in cahoots? Do you know how to talk? If you don't, then shut up. Dong Qin raised her eyebrows, and there was a bone-chilling coldness in her eyes. Dong Sanlong was no stranger to Dong Qin. It could even be said that they were very familiar with each other. After all, Dong Qin was one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses and could freely enter Imperial Capital Mountain. In short, except for Imperial Capital Mountain, she could go to all the major forbidden areas. In his impression, Dong Qin had always been a gentle, considerate, decent and generous woman. But now the Dong Qin standing in front of him seemed to have changed into another person, which made him feel uneasy. Dong Qin glanced at Qin Feiyong and frowned. Why do you keep this person alive? I can't kill him for the time being. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. However, he must die. Because Dong Sanlong already knew too many of their secrets. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and directly suppressed Dong Sanlong into the Soul-Sealing Valley. Seeing Dong Sanlong appear out of thin air in the Soul-Sealing Valley, Dong Erlong and the other 7 members of the Death God army were dumbfounded on the spot. Second brother. Dong Sanlong covered his nostrils and scanned the situation in the Soul-Sealing Valley. When he saw Dong Erlong, he couldn't help but be stunned and then quickly flew over. Third brother. Why are you also suppressed in the Soul-Sealing Valley? Dong Erlong asked in disbelief. Sigh. It's all that damn Long Chen's fault. Dong Sanlong sighed. His eyes filled with resentment. Long Chen. Dong Erlong clenched his fists. After a long time, he dropped his arms like a deflated balloon and sighed. I'm afraid the Central Dynasty will fall into chaos in the near future. Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian, the 2 commanders of the Death God Legion, were actually Qin Feiyong's men. Long Chan, Demon Ancestor, Mu Qing, Fire Dance, Mermaid Princess, Long Qin, and Li Feng had all infiltrated Emperor's Capital Mountain. There was also the Monarch Ji Zun and the Divine King. They were all in cahoots with Qin Feiyong. It could be said that the Central Dynasty was in danger. Devil's Land. Qin Feiyong took out the Divine Sound Transmission Stone again and sent a message to Dong Tianqin. Due to the addition of Dong Qin, the allocation of men and women had to be changed slightly. Dong Tianqin naturally did not dare to say anything. He had to do whatever Qin Feiyong asked him to do. Everything was ready. They only needed to wait for the secret territory to open tomorrow. Although Qin Feiyong had been running around these 2 days, It was all worth it as long as they could enter the secret territory. One day outside was 5,000 years in the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyang and the others still had time to adjust their state. At the same time, Long Chun and the others, Dong Tianchen and Princess Yuxian, were also adjusting their state and waiting for tomorrow to give it their all. The night was silent. The next day, early morning, gather. Lu Jijin's voice sounded in Emperor's capital mountain. Long Chun and the others opened their eyes. Light flashed in their eyes and they immediately stood up and stepped out of their respective caves. Dong Delong, Dong Erlong, Dong Sanlong, follow me. Another clear and melodious voice rang out. Princess Yuxian walked out of the main hall. Today, she was wearing a set of tight black clothes, showing off her impressive figure vividly and vividly. Compared to her noble and elegant appearance before, she looked valiant and capable today. Whoosh! Not long after her voice fell, Dong Dalong, Long Chun, and Ji Zun walked out of their respective courtyards, all in high spirits. Let's go. Princess Yuxian glanced at the three and flew towards Emperor's capital mountain. Dong Dalong immediately followed. Behind them, Long Chun and Ji Zun looked at each other and smiled. The moment they had been waiting for finally came. The Black Tortoise world. At this moment, Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Madman Dong Zhengyang, Mu Tianyang, Heavenly Lord Ji, Monarch, Divine King, and Dong Qin gathered in the tea garden. Around, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, Tang Hai, Zhao Tai Lai, Fire Lotus, Pei Hongyu, Big Black Wolf, Wang Xiaojie, Situ Tianyu, Xia Yuan, Sword Emperor, Black Wing Emperor, Xue Qilin, Lei Bao, and others looked reluctant and worried. Don't be like this, it's not a life and death parting. Qin Feiyang glanced at the familiar faces in front of him and said with a smile. He was very satisfied in his heart. Thinking back when he was in Iron Ox Town, Uncle Yuanbua, who he loved the most and cared for the most, left him. Lin Yi, his childhood sweetheart, was also forced by her family to become strangers with him. When he left Iron Ox Town, there was only White-Eyed Wolf by his side. Could be said that Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf relied on each other in the past. As time passed, White-Eyed Wolf was no longer his only companion. These people could be trusted and were the most reliable. In the past, only White-Eyed Wolf was worried about him. But now there were hundreds of people, thousands of people. It should be said that there were countless people who cared about him now. These people were the people of Black Tortoise Realm. Therefore, he was very happy and satisfied in his heart. Don't say it so lightly. Although we haven't been to the secret realm, but even the wife of the Divine Kingdom's ruler died in it. It's not a good place to think about it. Master, it's such a dangerous place. You might as well not go and let this disciple go. This disciple is still young and can withstand the torment. Wang Xiaojie looked at Qin Feiyang very seriously and said, Get lost. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Does this mean that I'm old? Hey, I really want to go for you and let you enjoy life in Black Tortoise Realm. But there's no other way. My strength doesn't allow me to enter the secret realm. Wang Xiaojie bared his teeth. At least you have some self-awareness. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and looked at Wang Xiaojie, Qin Chun, and Situ Tianyu. I've already prepared the inheritance for you guys. Don't slack off in Black Tortoise Realm. I know. Wang Xiaojie nodded. Fire Lotus, look after them. All of them are easy to deal with. Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus and instructed. Fire Lotus nodded. All right, I'll leave everything in Black Tortoise Realm to you. Wait for our return. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly at Hulian, then led the group of ingrates and instantly disappeared without a trace. In the valley in the morning was very quiet. It was misty. The fresh air made people unable to help but take a few more breaths. Madman laughed cruelly. After 10,000 years, when we return from the secret realm, Black Tortoise Realm might not even recognize us. That's for sure. Not only Black Tortoise Realm itself, but the living beings in Black Tortoise Realm, including the divine artifacts in the land of origin, will undergo earth-shattering changes. Madman nodded. This time they didn't bring a single sovereign weapon into the secret realm, because the sovereign weapons in Black Tortoise Realm were too weak. Entering the secret realm, they wouldn't be of much help at all. It was better to stay in Black Tortoise Realm and let them slowly absorb the origin energy to increase their grade. No matter how it changes, there is one fact that will never change. Black Tortoise Realm is our home. Qin Feiyang smiled. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but reveal a trace of a smile. Wang. Suddenly, a space-time tunnel appeared in the sky. They're here. Don't drag it out, quickly finish it. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he activated the concealment technique. The group immediately hid in the void. In the next moment, more than 10 figures walked out of the space-time tunnel. Leading them were Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian. Behind the three of them, there were a total of 9 people, each exuding an unfathomable aura. Young master, what are we doing here? The 9 of them looked around suspiciously. Didn't they say they were going to the Imperial Palace? Don't be noisy. Dong Tianchen glared at him and lowered his head to look at the valley. Why didn't he see Qin Feiyang? Could it be that there was an accident? If that was the case, then it would be great. But, before he could be happy, suddenly, 9 figures leaped out of the void behind them and pounced on the 9 people like the gods of death. Screams suddenly resounded through the sky. Dong Tianchen and the other 2 were shocked and hurriedly turned their heads to look. They saw that the 9 people they brought had already suffered fatal injuries and their qi was shattered. And behind the 9 people, wasn't it Qin Feiyang and the others? Sigh. Seems that I'm thinking too much. How could I have noticed it? Dong Tianchen secretly sighed. Qin Feiyang. What's going on? Why are Qin Feiyang and the others here? When the 9 people turned their heads to look at Qin Feiyang and the others, their faces suddenly changed. Why are we here? You have to ask Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. While speaking, Qin Feiyang and the others had already taken out the phantom elixir and locked onto a target and then turned into their appearance. Young master, young mistress, what's going on? Don't tell us that you have been colluding with them. Seeing this scene, the 9 people immediately looked at Dong Tianchen and the other 2 and said angrily. Noisy. Dong Tianchen's eyes flashed with killing intent. Don't kill them now. Qin Feiyang stopped Dong Tianchen and confiscated the 9 people's interspatial rings and divine voice transmitting stones before directly suppressing them into the soul-sealing valley. Didn't you say to kill them? Dong Tianchen frowned. I did say that, but I won't kill them now. After all, they all have the will of heaven. Shouldn't you take away their ultimate ultimacy before killing them? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and glanced at the white-eyed wolf and the others and asked, Is everyone ready? Yes. The group nodded. Then let's go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and a space-time passage appeared. He then looked at Dong Tianchen and the others and said respectfully, Young masters, young mistress Dong Xian, please. Dong Tianchen curled his lips. Just as he was about to step into the space-time passage, he suddenly thought of something and turned to look at Dong Qin. Just then, he seemed to have seen Dong Qin. What are you looking at? Dong Qin sneered. Have you joined Qin Feiyang? Dong Tianchen frowned. The moment my father was beheaded, I betrayed the central dynasty. Dong Qin's eyes were filled with hatred. Dong Tianchen's eyes narrowed and said, So, you killed the families of the 9 commanders? Yes. They deserved to die. Dong Qin smiled coldly. Dong Tianchen gave Dong Qin a deep look. What a pitiful woman. Not only was she deceived by Dong Hanzong, but she had also lost her family. Her betrayal was forced out. Chapter 4588. Don't look at me with such sympathetic eyes. Dong Qin glanced at Dong Tianchen and the other 2 and sneered. I'm living a better life than before. I'm more free and dignified. This is the best proof. Even if I betrayed the central dynasty, I can still enter the secret realm with you. Hearing this, Dong Tianchen and the other 2 froze. That was indeed the case. They had no right to sympathize with Dong Qin. They were the ones who should be sympathized with. Although Dong Qin had betrayed the central dynasty, she had made her stand clear. But what about the 3 of them? They had to work for the central dynasty and listen to Qin Feiyang at the same time. It was too sullen to be caught in the middle. To be honest, they were more pitiful than Dong Qin now. Can you catch up with each other after we enter the secret realm? Qin Feiyang urged. Whoosh! Dong Tianchen and the other 2 looked at each other and took a deep breath, trying to maintain their usual state. Then they entered the space-time tunnel one after another. Qin Feiyang and the others followed closely behind. Soon, They landed in front of the gate of the imperial capital mountain. Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan sat under the stone tablet as usual, guarding the gate. Sensing the arrival of Dong Tianqian and the other two, they opened their eyes and saw that the three of them had brought 9 attendants with them. A trace of surprise crept onto their faces. Tianqian, what are you going to do? Dong Qingyuan got up and asked the three of them. Teacher, don't ask what you shouldn't ask. If His Majesty finds out, he'll definitely punish you, Dong Tianqian said, obviously a little impatient. Dong Qingyuan's face froze. Guard the gate well. If we can come back alive, we'll help you plead with His Majesty. With that, Dong Tianqian walked past Dong Qingyuan and flew straight to the imperial palace. Qin Feiyang and the others glanced at the two with a trace of mockery in their eyes and quickly left. Do you feel better seeing Dong Hanzong end up like this? White-eyed Wolf transmitted his voice to Dong Qin. No. Dong Qin shook her head. Huh. No. Don't tell me you're still thinking about him? White-eyed Wolf was stunned. How is this possible? I want to see him die in front of me. Only then will I feel comfortable. A cold light flashed in Dong Qin's eyes. The white-eyed wolf's mouth twitched. Women were indeed creatures that could not be provoked. They could easily take one's life, especially those who were usually very gentle and kind. Once they were angered, they would be even crazier than other women. Therefore, from now on, whenever he met a woman, he had to be careful, so as to avoid getting into trouble. Dong Hanzong glanced at the backs of Qin Feiyang's group and mumbled, Teacher, don't you think that Dong Tianqian's last sentence is a little strange? The last sentence? Dong Qingyuan was stunned. Yes. In the end, he said that if we could come back alive, they would help us plead with His Majesty. Isn't that the same as saying that they're about to face some sort of danger? Dong Hanzong frowned. Something dangerous? Dong Qingyuan looked at Dong Hanzong suspiciously and said, They are all on Capital Mountain now. What danger could there be? This is what I can't figure out. Think about it. If they want to deal with Qin Feiyang, they definitely won't do it on Capital Mountain. After all, Capital Mountain is the sacred land of the Central Dynasty. It's our base camp. We can never start a war here. Moreover, to deal with Qin Feiyang and the others, the few followers they brought are far from enough. Dong Hanzong frowned, unable to figure it out. It's indeed strange. Dong Qingyuan pondered for a while and suddenly said, Why don't you sneak over and see what they're going to do? Hearing this, Dong Hanzong's expression froze. It was not a problem to sneak over, but if he was accidentally discovered by the emperor, wouldn't it be an even worse crime? Don't worry. You have the Qiankuan domain. You're an indispensable fighting force of the Central Dynasty. Even if you're discovered, the emperor won't really kill you. If there's really something important, it might be a chance for us to turn things around. Dong Qingyuan comforted him. Dong Hanzong struggled for a while, but in the end, he couldn't resist the curiosity in his heart. He entered the space divine item and drove it toward the imperial palace. At the same time, Lu Jiajin, the inner demons, and the moon fairy princess had already entered the imperial palace. They all stood below obediently. As for Long Chun and the others, they were all blocked outside the door. The emperor and his wife sat above, silent and solemn. The atmosphere in the main hall was also somewhat heavy. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of something breaking through the air, Dong Tianqian and the other two finally brought Qin Feiyang and the others to the imperial palace. A guard stepped forward and stopped the group, saying, Except for Dong Tianqian, Dong Ping, and Dong Exine, the rest of you are to wait outside. Damn you, isn't it just an imperial palace? Why aren't you letting us in? What's with the pretense? The white-eyed wolf muttered angrily. Dong Tianqian was startled. What kind of trouble was this ingrate causing? He immediately turned his head to look at the group and said, You guys stay outside. Don't mess around, this is the imperial palace. This sentence was secretly transmitted. He was really worried, because if Qin Feiyang and the others caused any trouble, they would be the unlucky ones in the end. We know what we're doing, let's go in. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. After getting Qin Feiyang's personal reply, Dong Tianqian felt relieved and boldly entered the imperial palace with Dong Ping and Dong Exen. How's life on Imperial Capital Mountain? Frenzy glanced at Long Chan and the others who were standing obediently opposite him and secretly laughed. It's just one night, What kind of life can you experience? The person who spoke was Long Qin. They didn't dare to run around when they came to Imperial Capital Mountain, for fear of causing any accidents, so they had been adjusting their state in the cave residence that the inner demons had arranged for them. In short, their understanding of Imperial Capital Mountain was the same as Qin Feiyong and the others, which was almost zero. It's okay, when we come back in the future, we can slowly and openly tour Imperial Capital Mountain. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but roll their eyes. Do you think this is our back garden where you can walk around as you wish? Everyone was secretly chatting and laughing, except for Dong Dalong. He was the only one who didn't smile and stood respectfully at the side, seeming out of place. Your Majesty! Your Majesty! Inside the Imperial Palace, Dong Tianqian and the other two walked to Lu Jijin's side and bowed to the Emperor and his wife above. Yes, the Emperor finally raised his head and waved his hand, closing the door of the Imperial Palace. Then, he glanced at the inner demons, Lu Jijin, Princess Moonfairy, and Dong Tianqian and asked, "Are you all ready?" "Ready." The 6 of them looked at each other and nodded heavily. Good. The Emperor nodded and waved his hand, and streaks of origin energy appeared. Huh. The 6 of them looked at this scene in shock. There are 10,000 streaks of origin energy here. The 5 of you will each take 2,000. The Emperor looked at the inner demons, Lu Jijin and Dong Tianqian, and said in a low voice, 2,000 might seem like a lot, but inside the hidden territory, it can be used up in one go. So you must cherish it. Simply put, unless it is absolutely necessary, do not waste the origin energy, Ji Sui added. The Emperor nodded. Yes. The 5 of them nodded and stepped forward, each taking 2,000 streaks of origin energy. This is so grand. 2,000 streaks of origin energy. If we don't come back alive, we'll be letting down His Majesty's care. The inner demons bared his teeth. Very happy. Qin Feiyong gave him 1,000 streaks, and now the Emperor gave him 2,000. He now had 3,000 streaks of origin energy. No, 3,001. When the Emperor and the others first entered the Central Dynasty, the Emperor gave them a streak of origin energy to protect themselves. The Emperor looked at the inner demons and shook his head with a bitter smile. Grand? Was he such a stingy person before? Whatever. He was about to go to the hidden territory. He couldn't be bothered with him. His face turned serious as he looked at the inner demons. You're wrong. Not only do you have to come back alive, but you have to bring back a new level of fortune. Ah. The inner demons paused, then laughed, of course. The Emperor nodded, satisfied. Such confidence was worthy of praise and encouragement. What about Sister Moon Fairy? 6th uncle, you won't give her the origin energy? Dong Ping suddenly asked. The Moon Fairy Princess, the Emperor, and his wife all looked at Dong Ping in shock. What's wrong? Dong Ping didn't understand. The inner demons was speechless. Are you stupid? Why are you cursing? Dong Ping frowned, glaring at the inner demons. If I don't curse you, you won't be able to think straight. The Moon Fairy Princess is their daughter. How could the Emperor and the Empress ignore her? Who knows, he might have already given her origin energy, and who knows how many times more than us. The inner demons rolled his eyes. He was speechless. He actually asked such a stupid question. Dong Ping was stunned. That's right. Why didn't I think of such a simple thing? Immediately. He glared at the inner demons. Even if I didn't think of it, you don't have to humiliate me like this. It was too much. Enough. We're about to go to the hidden territory. Why are you still quarreling? Let me tell you, if you want to survive in the hidden territory, you have to unite. The Emperor glared at the 2 of them and suppressed the anger in his heart. He stood up and waved his hand. The door of the Imperial Palace opened and said, "Come with me." With that, the Emperor and his wife stepped out of the Imperial Palace and flew into the sky. Don't make a fool of yourself next time. The inner demons came to Dong Ping's side and bared his teeth. Get lost. Dong Ping's face darkened as he left angrily. Please spare my brother. Dong Tianqian smiled bitterly and quickly chased after Dong Ping. The inner demons chuckled and followed Lu Jijin outside. Suddenly, he looked at Dong Xian, who was walking beside him, and said, "You'd better not be with them." What do you mean? Dong Xian looked at him in confusion. Idiocy is contagious, the inner demon said. The corner of Dong Xian's mouth couldn't help but twitch. These words were really humiliating. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.